Let's get nasty on a Monday. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter. 201, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. And for the first hour of our show today, we've got our guy, Brad Thompson, as well. What's up, BT? Doing good. Everybody's good. The weekend was good for everybody?
I think so, yeah.
Jamie, you all right with the microphone there?
The microphone's acting wonky, Okay. It's all right.
Jamie got a nice haircut. He's looking good.
Did a little fresh cut on this one here. Well, we had the big charity event on Saturday night.
That's right.
The big trivia night for Action for Autism. Window World, Johnny Londoff, a bunch of people that we know here. Big sponsors of that. It's a massive event over at Ameristar. I've never seen a trivia night like this. Honestly, it's incredible. They have so many silent auction items that are like very unique. They had one. I went all in on this one. You know, you buy the raffle tickets, and they go, "Oh, you get 3 arms length."
Yeah.
And so I'm like, "All right, whatever." I'm like, "Here's $50. What does that get me?" Like, "Oh, that gives you 6 arm lengths." I'm like, "That's great." It was a metal wagon with like off-road wheels.
Yeah.
Just filled with booze. I didn't even come close.
Yeah. So you didn't win it?
No, I didn't even come close, but, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Had a great time.
I realized the last time we went to a trivia night how old I am because we went to a trivia night to raise money for my daughter's school, their elementary school. And they've got all the silent auctions, right? So Chris and I are walking around and, they got the booze. So we bid on the booze or raffle ticket, whatever it was for that. That's, as BT just pointed out, that's a guarantee. But I realized I was old when I was looking at everything and I go, Kristen, look at this Tupperware tower. People have no idea the value of this Tupperware tower. We have got to bid on this. And Kristen's like, why, really? I'm like, you think about the organization in our pantry with this Tupperware tower. And we won it, boy. I was pumped.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's huge.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. I hadn't heard of trivia nights until I moved down here in 2010. And then I quickly realized how popular they are. Fun. They're very fun.
It's a good time. You get a good bunch of people together, have some fun, some laughs,
Yeah. They humble you a little bit.
What's your favorite category when they do that?
You would think it'd be sports, but Jamie, it's not sports.
No, it's not, Brad.
Thank you.
Everybody in the building stares at you.
Right. BT, I had the same conversation with Jamie before the show. I go, trivia nights are fun, but they're like anxiety ridden because as soon as the sports category comes, it's, we're good. We're good. Just pass the sheet over to Anthony or Jamie or BT, right? And then you start to hear the questions like, in 1906, this tennis star from St. Louis won, and I'm like, I'm done. I got nothing.
They came out of the gates with a NASCAR question.
Oh, yeah.
Then it was a college basketball. I was like, son of a... Wasn't great.
Right.
But what's your favorite category?
It's probably still sports because all the other categories I'm terrible at. So.
I love the name of the song and the artist.
My wife, Kristen's incredible with that.
When they play those, when they jam out some 80s,
yeah,
I feel like I'm Rain Man. I'm in the zone. You just name it. I hear one bar, and I'm like, okay, that's so-and-so.
It's Motley Crue.
That's The Cure. Yeah. Ashley's looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, trust me.
You are good with that, because sometimes we'll hear Casey, like in our hallways or whatever, and you're like, you're always like, what's the band? Yeah. You're good with that, especially 80s stuff. BT, what about you? You got that covered. I could see that. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Now, BT, when it comes to the music, I don't know about you, but when you hear a song and people say, oh, what year was that song? when you hear a song, do you automatically remember like where you were playing that year? Because that happens to me. I hear a song and be like, oh, that was Boston Bruins that year, and because that was popular then. Do you do that?
Yeah. I do that with college too, because as soon as you said Nelly, I thought college. So, yeah, it makes sense.
You youngsters.
You.
I wasn't in college.
Yeah, but you're only a couple of years older than us.
Yeah, but I just never was in college.
It's true. You skipped it because you're so damn good at hockey. We get it, Jamie. You're a professional athlete when Brandon and I were not paying attention in school. We get it. Yeah. So, BT, the Cardinals over the weekend, that was a tough one. Started off with Adam Wainwright not pitching well on Friday. He did not secure his 199th victory, so that one still eludes him. He certainly did, Brad. He certainly did. And the Cardinals ran into a juggernaut yesterday, too, when old Austin Gomber, who knows all their secrets, having been, with the Cardinals and in their farm system for a while, he just shoved against them 6 innings. Did give up 6 hits, but no runs. Walked only 2. Didn't need to. Just kept the ball on the ground. That Austin Gomber. 1-0 loss. But Tyler O'Neill wound up. Now he's 0-for-4 yesterday, but nobody hit well yesterday. But on Saturday, he clobbered his 5th home run of the season in that 6-2 victory for the Cards. He's been on a run. He's got 5 home runs, 13 RBI, 2 stolen bases through his first 43 games of the season. As we know, he's been banged up. Jamie called him last week the poisonous apple, which I totally get, because it looks good. Then you bite into it, and you're like, what's good? Okay, I'm passing out now. I could see what's going on there.
Took a bite of that beautiful apple. I mean, it was just sitting there. Like, who wouldn't?
But so is he worth keeping around next season for the Cardinals? Do you explore trade options? Do you just let it kind of, you just let the market dictate what's going on with Tyler O'Neill? How do the Cardinals approach this with him specifically? Yeah. All of it. Yeah, that's the tough part. If I knew the return wasn't good, it doesn't help me. I don't need a double A catcher. You know, if that's going to be the return, then he's got more worth to me, and I roll with it next season with O'Neill.
So now, the way I look at it, and BT, this is kind of a question for you: is this exactly what the Cardinals wanted? And this is why, like, they hung on to him. They said that, you know, the return that they could possibly get, they probably wouldn't like it. But is this the perfect case scenario for the Cardinals now? If they need him, they can keep him, go through arbitration and sign him. Or if they want to move him and he continues to play like this, his value just goes up and up.
That's good. That's Brad Thompson, Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter. It's the Fast Lane on 101 at ESPN. Where does Zack Thompson fit into the team's plans following his story yesterday? We'll ask BT about that next on 101 ESPN. Hey, when it comes to finding a new car, check out Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum. They're the team that I have gone to and our family has gone to now for the last couple of years because we trust them. They're fun. They have a brand new facility out in Herculaneum with over 700 vehicles on the lot right there at that lot. So when you're looking at cars, trucks, SUVs, vans, it doesn't matter. They've got them at Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum. You don't have to drive all over the place just to find the vehicle that you're looking for. They've got it right there, one location out in Herculaneum, brand new spot. Just opened a couple of months ago, been out there a few times now, and I love it. I love the way that they treat customers. It's about respect, and it's about having fun. And when it comes to their vehicles, they have a way to finance the car for you, or finance the truck or van, whatever you're looking for. And they have financing options for everyone. Good credit, bad credit. Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum knows that if you need a vehicle, they will finance the car for you. 30-day return promise, nationwide lifetime warranty that's free with all new Nissans, too. So go check them out. Tell them Stalter sent you. It's Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum. We're Brad Thompson. I'm Anthony Stalter, Jamie Rivers, the Fast Lane. BT with us for the next couple of segments here. So, BT, Zack Thompson, your thoughts on him yesterday? You know, obviously the Cardinals offensively, that was unfortunately the story, but Zack Thompson, spot start, goes 4 innings, only allows 2 hits, 1 run, struck out 8. He only threw 60 pitches, struck out 8.
He was a machine.
Absolute machine. Your thoughts on his performance yesterday before we get into kind of the big picture plan for Zack Thompson moving forward?
Yeah. Well, like, first of all, he had a career high in strikeouts after 2 innings. He had punched out 5 after 2. That was pretty damn impressive, the way that he did it. And you never know on those spot start days, only his second big league start, as you guys know. You never know what to expect out of a guy. And that was as impressive, I think, as we've seen Zack. Punches out 8 in his 4 innings. And the big thing that just stood out to me was how confident he was in all of his stuff. He just went out there and he went after the Rockies. And in all fairness to the Rockies offense, you should go after the Rockies. Like, they're not a team that is going to end up crushing you. Now, it can happen. I think we saw it during this series. They can get you if you make mistakes. But I love the fact that he was pouring in strikes. He was using his fastball at the top of the zone effectively. He was using his big breaking ball, and he leaned on that slider a little bit. That's been a developing pitch for him. I know that Zack said it's really a pitch right now in that slider/cutter that he almost has more confidence in that thing than he does any other offering. And he kind of referenced Clayton Kershaw as a guy. Kershaw throws his cutter a ton. I mean, he just bears in on these right-handers, looks like the heater coming out of the hand and just ties them up. Well, if you have that gives you the ability to keep right-handers off the pitch that's away. If you can elevate with the 4-seam like he can and then drop the big breaking ball in, that's been his calling card ever since being a first-round pick out of Kentucky. It's a pretty good recipe, and I thought it was an impressive one there for Zack Thompson.
So, BT, when you look at Zack Thompson here and the Cardinals, I don't think it was by design that he's kind of been all over the map with what the plans are. You know, they started out and there was thoughts of him being a starter. Well, he was in the bullpen. Then they wanted to stretch him out, make him a starter. So went down to Memphis. Then he was back up in the bullpen. And then he gets his first start last game yesterday, and he does what he does. What do you think the ultimate plans are here for this guy within the organization?
Yeah, well, I think that the plans are with him. If we're looking forward like to next year, I still think that they will bring him in ready to be a starter and maybe battle it out for a 5th starter spot. But I think that there's a lot of people in the organization that think he's going to have a higher or maybe more success being a back-end bullpen guy with the kind of swing and miss stuff that he ends up having. But I think that you bring him in, and the concept of it, right, the idea of what they're doing with him, they were fairly clear on it early. They wanted to send him down to go lengthen out again to be a starter and bring him back as such. Remember, though, he struggled, man. He struggled mightily at AAA, an ERA of almost 9 there, and he had 9 starts at AAA, and he was walking the house. He had 39 walks, guys, in 34 1/3 innings. Like, the control just wasn't there for him. And look, some of it is mechanically out of sync. I'm sure some of it was he's upset that you're at AAA again, and things just aren't falling into place. But when he has that command, he can be lights out. So I think that the overall idea for the rest of this season is if there's a spot start, he might get it. If Matthew Liberatore gets a few more outings, a few more starts, because they were very adamant that they're going to give him a chance, going to give him some runway. But if that runway starts to not look great, or maybe you start piggybacking Thompson on days like that, not that you want to go left on a piggyback, but he could be your long guy, I think there will be plenty more opportunities this year. But I think for next year, he'll be in the mix for that 5th starter spot, assuming that the Cardinals go out and get at least 2 free agents or a free agent and trade for a guy. And I still know they love what they have in him. They just need more consistency out of him.
So what can, I mean, Brad, you would certainly know this. What can pitchers do in the offseason? So you're talking about all these young guys, Zack Thompson included. Nolan Gorman last year has more than a cup of coffee. I mean, he was up for a lot of last season. Had his ups and downs, goes into the offseason, works on some things, shows up in spring training, dialed in, has a great spring, has a great April, and here we are thinking and knowing that Nolan Gorman's a part of your future long term. What can pitchers do specifically in the offseason? Because I think it's a little more challenging for them to knowing that they got to be prepared for the season, also have this long, you want to make sure that you can last the entire year, all that. What can guys like Zack Thompson do over the offseason to give the Cardinals confidence that he can come in spring training and produce?
Well, I think that one of the biggest things, and I do like that the Cardinals do this, and every organization does to a certain extent, but like he will have here's a list. Here's what you need to work on this offseason. Here's how we can help you. We'll be in contact. But the biggest thing for a pitcher, and this is for any player, you need to know what you struggle with, and then you have to figure out why. And the organization, there are people around that will help you out with the why, and then you have to figure out what you do. So for Zack Thompson, we'll just use some of the issues that he had locating the baseball in AAA with the 39 walks in just over 34 innings. Why was that happening for you? Like, were you out of sync mechanically? Well, mechanically, those are things that you can work on in the offseason. You're going to shut down throwing for a couple of months. You don't need to be throwing the ball, but you can still work on mechanics and smoothing things out. You can dig into video, and then once you start actually throwing the ball again, if there's something, and maybe for him it's that cutter that he wants to lean more heavily upon, well, then that ends up being a focus. You start focusing on that in your bullpens and when you're playing catch and getting the feel for that thing so it feels as normal as possible. But the reps are the biggest thing. When you look at how do you get better, Jamie, you know this, in a long NHL career, you got better every year, right? You learn something the year prior or the month prior, the week prior, and then you take it into the next game. That's still the key with Thompson. He's 25 years old, but he's only been in the big leagues a couple of years. Like, he's still kind of learning himself and learning what it takes to get through a 162-game season. There's a lot of moving parts to it.
Is a guy like Thompson, is it possible for him to leapfrog someone like Matthew Liberatore within the organization's rankings? Because Matthew Liberatore been given the opportunity to start. It hasn't been fantastic for him. And Thompson comes in and pitches 4 great innings. Certainly not 5, 6, or 7. He's not quite there yet. But is this an opportunity for Thompson to start being taken seriously as far as prospect-wise?
Yeah, for sure, and he already has been, right? I mean, Zack Thompson, they drafted him in the first round. They knew what they had in him. Now, I still think they want to give Libby that runway, as we talked about last time. They told him, hey, you shouldn't feel like if this doesn't go well that you're going to get sent out. Like, that's a lot of weight anyhow. He's a guy that puts a lot on himself. You want to be able to give him a couple of starts and make him feel as comfortable as possible. But every time Zack Thompson, we'll just use Zack as the example, anytime that he goes out there, he's auditioning for a bigger role. All they're wanting guys to take advantage of opportunities. There's so many opportunities out here right now with the trades that were made, with the outlook for the rest of the season. They want guys that can take the ball, that can step up, that are aggressive, and that are confident. And if he continues to show that, absolutely, I think that we could see him maybe get a start that Libby would down the stretch if he's not doing well, or be thought of going into the offseason as maybe having a leg up on a 5th starter job as opposed to somebody else. But I think that Thompson, with his skill set and the mentality, because he's got a very good one, I think that he can be very effective out of the pen, and I think that you're comfortable starting him. It's nice to have a swing guy like that, and I don't mind the idea. I know it's like it's gone the way of the dodo bird, but I don't mind the idea of having a traditional long guy in your bullpen that can save your bacon too, because we saw it with the Cubs multiple times against the Cardinals. Javier Assad just came in and he would throw like 5 1/3 against the Cardinals. Then he threw like 4 and saved everybody else's butt, and he was highly effective in doing so. Thompson could serve a role like that as well, and there could be a lot of value in it.
Assad did that over the weekend too against Atlanta, I believe. On Saturday.
He's unreal.
Yeah, so it's a good call, BT. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Do the Cardinals need to add a closer to the offseason priority list? We'll get into that conversation next on 101 ESPN.
Are you looking to redo your kitchen, maybe your bathroom, whether it's cabinets or countertops? Please visit my friends at E&B Granite. Give them a call for a no-obligation consultation, or you can get into the showroom located at 6135 Manchester Avenue. What I love about the showroom / warehouse is that it has everything right there for you. You walk in, and they've got everything set up so you can take a look at different ideas, and the sales representative is going to ask you if you have a clear vision for what you're doing, and if so, great. They're going to help you accomplish that. But if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish, it's easy. They're going to help you. They're going to walk you through it. And again, the warehouse side of it has all of the countertops. It's fantastic. They have granite, quartz, marble, and soapstone in the back. And what I loved is you could walk through the aisles of it and take a look, and you get a real view of what the pattern is and what it looks like. It's not some little sample that you have to take a look at and imagine what it is. And then the process is easy from there. Sales rep is going to get the technicians in there to measure, rip out all the old stuff, install the new stuff, and make sure you know how to take care of everything. So again, for that no obligation consultation, give them a call. Tell them Jamie Rivers sent you in. That number is 314-645-9300. That's 314-645-9300, or visit enbgranite.com.
ESPN Sports Center. I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Rockies take down the Cards yesterday by a final score of 1-0. They take 2 of 3 against St. Louis this weekend. The Cards will head to Tampa Bay as they take on the Rays tomorrow. Miles Michaelis on the mound going up against Zach Eflin, 5:40 first pitch. We'll continue talking Cardinals baseball with our guy BT. That's coming your way next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
What he has shown up to this point is that he can be extremely efficient. So you can use him for 2 innings. I mean, he'll throw 7-8 pitches to get 3 outs and can go back out there in a lane that makes sense. But he's done a nice job against both righties and lefties. I mean, just pounding the bottom of the zone. The changeup was a big player for him off of that. But our pen did a really nice job today. I mean, even you look at what King and the rest of the group did. Palante again, the ground ball don't play. King was up to 95, and his stuff plays. So I thought it was outstanding job by our pitchers today. Unfortunately, we couldn't score for them.
That's Ollie Marmol following yesterday's 1-0 loss to the Rockies. It's the Fast Line on 101 ESPN. Brad Thompson joining us for the next 2 segments here. Jamie Rivers, I'm Anthony Stalter. Appreciate everybody joining us. And Ollie was specifically talking about JoJo Romero, who went 2 innings, didn't allow a hit, 4 strikeouts for JoJo Romero. But he's right. The pen did an outstanding job yesterday. 5 innings of work in total for Verhagen, King, who the Cardinals acquired in that deal for Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton, Palante, and then Romero. They allowed collectively in those 5 innings 3 hits, no runs, struck out 5, didn't walk a single batter. I mean, that was a great job overall by the pen. BT, I saw a note that Ryan Helsley, who's dealing with the forearm injury, he pitched over the weekend, yesterday in fact, minor league rehab appearance for Double-A Springfield. Notched 1 strikeout through 19 pitches, 14 went for strikes in his first minor league rehab outing. So he looks like he's drawing closer and closer to returning. My question for you guys, though, is do they need to look for a closer in the offseason? Because that can be difficult. To not only find a closer, but have that closer pan out, because a lot of relievers don't work out when you pay them big time money. Or can Helsley still be that guy in your opinion?
I just think that they have too many problems to go out and like. Going shopping for a closer to me is like, hey, you've got everything else figured out, and that's where you need to spend your money. Mm-hmm. Right now, the Cardinals, their biggest shopping is going to have to be starting pitching, as we know. Yeah. Not to say that they don't need more depth in their bullpen, because they do, and specifically late inning depth. But I really don't see them going out there and spending in that market. Now, I don't know who exactly will all be there. I know that Josh Hader is going to be a free agent. I think that David Robertson might be a free agent as well. There's so much volatility at the back end of bullpens where I don't think that they need that, but they do need others to step up in those roles. And you believe that Helsley's going to do it, but you also know that Helsley's not a guy that's going to take the ball every day. He's going to need built-in rest with the moving parts that he has, the effort that goes into it. He's just going to need rest. That's just what he is. So you need other options. You still have Giovanni Gallegos under contract, so he would be in the mix. You could use one of those lefties. Maybe it's Thompson, who we talked about. You just mentioned JoJo Romero being dominant in his couple of innings, and I told you guys this last week. I asked Ollie if you had to pick a guy who would take advantage of the opportunity that is out there with the movement of Stratton and with Hicks being gone, who would it be? And one of the first guys he pointed to was JoJo. He just said he loves the mentality that he has had. And earlier in the season, there were times where he would pitch timidly, like he just didn't want to get hit, and now he's just letting it rip and going after the opposition. So he could find himself in the fold. I don't think that I would add there, at least at that level. And when we're talking about a closer, we're talking about putting significant cash into that, right? $12 to $15 million a year probably at the back end. I don't think that they're in that kind of a position. But what do you think? Like, would you add that?
No, I wouldn't. And for the exact reason you just said there, the $12 to $15 million. I mean, if you're going to, you have guys currently. You've got Gio, you've got Helsley, you've got Romero. You could potentially have other guys that find their way into that role. I'm not spending there. I'd rather take that $12 to $15 million and tack it onto a pitcher, like a starting pitcher somewhere. Find a middle or bottom rotation guy for that, or add it onto the price tag of Aaron Nola or Blake Snell. If you're only going to give them, 17, 18, or 20, take that $12 million and plop it on there, and now you got an ace or a number one. I'd rather not spend the money on a closer.
Yeah, I'm with you guys too. When it comes to relievers in general and free agency, they tend not to work out. And if you want a couple of local examples, we've got them. You have Brett Cecil, Greg Holland it was a 1-year deal, so whatever. But Andrew Miller didn't work out. There's guys, when it comes to relievers that you throw a bunch of money at them, it never seems to pan out. Now, 1-year deals, stuff like that, like Aroldis Chapman to Kansas City, it made a lot of money. That made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
They picked him up. He was down. See what happens for the first half of the season, and they turned him into, I believe, a starting pitcher who maybe even goes tonight for the Royals. So that is when it makes sense, when it's kind of a 1-year flyer. A multi-year contract, especially for a closer, it doesn't seem to pan out. I like your idea, BT. You essentially said build up the pen, and when you have enough guys, you can kind of rotate them in and out. And that's really what Ollie has done. We saw Jordan Hicks draw some save opportunities. We've seen Gio. We have seen Helsley. And if you have a strong enough pen and guys that have that grit and that fortitude to handle the ninth, which is a different beast, but if you have enough of those guys, then you don't have to worry as much about Helsley being injured or not and not ready.
Well, largely the same group, too, right? So let's go back to the concept of versatility or volatility in a bullpen, because right now the Cardinals' bullpen has not been good, as we all know. They lead all of baseball in blown saves. I would think like 24, somewhere around there, it's too many. I would just say it's way too many than you would like to see. But last year, I think in the full season, they had 17, largely the same group in that bullpen, but you ride those waves of year to year. So, again, this is a conversation we were having with Ollie a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about just the bullpen and how you have the ups and downs. He's like, man, I'm telling you, I just feel like this group, not to say there won't be any tweaks that are needed, because one of the big things you need is somebody to take the Stratton role of a veteran that actually takes the baseball and wants to pitch every day. You need more guys like that. But he said, I just cannot foresee it looking like it does for another year. It's crazy how it kind of all snowballed, and that's just how this season has been. It's one thing after another. How do you lose a 1-0 ball game to the Rockies? Like, how the hell do you lose a 1-0 game to the Rockies? But that's kind of just where you're at on the season right now. But yeah, I'm not, if I'm them, I would add to the bullpen, but I'm not adding a big significant piece, to Jamie's point, that might take me out of the market of somebody else.
Mm-hmm. In fairness to Gomber, his ERA was south of 6.
And so, in other fairness that's not as snarky, he had been throwing the ball a lot better as of late.
Imagine if you had a guy like that.
Are we doing that?
I think we're okay. I think we're all right. Yeah, considering he was part of the Arenado deal.
Yeah.
And they gave you $50 million.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals did just fine on that one. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Do the Cardinals know who they are? Let's talk a little bit about philosophy, pitching, and otherwise, and get into some of that with BT next on 101 ESPN.
players know they're always auditioning for a spot with their current team or with some other team. I mean, this it's a business where every day we're tracking everything you do in excruciating detail, and it factors into our decisions in the offseason. So I think certainly there are, the trades that we made at the trade deadline created opportunities for some guys that they may not have otherwise had. But whether you're one of those guys or you're, Goldie or Arenado, I mean, everyone's always putting up numbers and showing their skill level and changing how the offseason might look.
That was Cardinals general manager Michael Gersh talking about the offseason and how players can kind of attack things. And, everybody's kind of got an opportunity, really not even the offseason, this right now. You have an opportunity to prove yourself and audition for spots, and then you see what happens in the offseason. With Brad Thompson with us for the next 10 minutes or so, Jamie Rivers, I'm Anthony Stalter. The thing I wanted to ask you guys, though, is do the Cardinals know who they are? Because I almost feel like they're in a bit of a transition now. They went into the offseason. Brad, you brought this point up last week to us. They went into the offseason and then were shocked by the money that was being thrown around for starting pitching and really position players overall. So they dipped their toe into some starting pitching water and then, whoa, this is way too rich for our blood. They also, at least, it from my point of view, they rolled again with kind of the pitch to contact over the high strikeout guys. All right. And then from a position player standpoint, they had a lot of guys doing a lot of different things, a la maybe the Rays, how they've done in the past, and maybe the Giants, where they've got almost like two different teams and they want to play the matchups. Brad, first of all, is that an accurate assessment of how you also saw things? And two, do you think the Cardinals are going to transition more to high strikeout guys if they can, and maybe a starting nine that looks pretty consistent, at least more consistent than what we saw this year, barring injuries?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would agree with that in large part. I will ask you this question first, for both of you guys. Who do you think the Cardinals are? Like, what do you think that their identity currently is?
I think that they have been a team that will not spend big on starting pitching because they believe they've got the defense and the ballpark to overcome that. Just keep the ball in the yard and on the ground, and we're going to be fine. So you don't necessarily have to. It was their philosophy, not exactly what happened, but that's my read on their pitching staff. And I could be way off on this, but I feel like they want to be flexible with positions and they want to play the matchups. But when you got Goldschmidt and Arenado and Contreras in your lineup, plus Newt, who has established himself now, and Donovan, who has established himself now, and Edman, who has established himself now, and they want Jordan Walker to do so, it's a little tough to play the matchup game constantly while also getting ABs for Tyler O'Neill and ABs for Dylan Carlson and on and on. So I think they want to be a team like the Rays in that we can be flexible. We can play the matchups. We're good. And they also want to be a team that doesn't have to spend big on starting pitching because they can merely keep the ball on the ground. That's my read on it, at least. Jamie?
Yeah, I look at a team that, for me, it's when I talk about the Cardinals, it's offense. They've got a very powerful offense. They've got a lot of guys that can touch seats. Obviously, with the emergence of Gorman this year, it's totally created another level for him. But, they've got O'Neill, Arenado, Goldie, Gorman, Donovan. He overachieved so far, up until he was injured with home run power that he displayed. Walker. For me, the Cardinals are an offensive team now. So the philosophy of the pitchers and the pitch to contact, the pitcher-friendly ballpark, all that, I feel like now when I look at the Cardinals, they better score 6 or 7 runs, and that still may not get it done.
No, and I think that you're spot on. I think that they know who they are right now. And to both of your point, that's what they are. They're a team that can hit well, does not pitch well. Yesterday's 1-0 loss, the freaking Rockies aside. That's what they are. They're a top 10 offense in the game. No, not just in the National League, Anthony, in the game. In most categories, right? Not all of them, but top half at the very least in pretty much every offensive category. But it's not enough to make up for the struggles of this pitching staff. And there's opportunity down down the stretch. But for the most part, internally, at least on this roster, you kind of know what you have. There are going to have to be answers that are outside the organization. And when we're talking about this swing and miss, there's only 2 teams in baseball that have a lower whiff rate. And they're not good. It's the Rockies, better than you this weekend, and the Nationals. Those are the 2 teams that have the lower whiff rate. The teams that are around them, Giants, a bit of an anomaly, 10 games over 500, really don't have much swing and miss, play very good defense. But then you got the A's, the Royals, the Tigers, the Pirates. I mean, that's the neighborhood that you're in, and that's not where you're going to be able to live. So they know what they are. The big question that we talked about, and we'll continue to talk about all offseason long until they land a big fish or 2, is what will they do to change it? Because it's going to cost money, and it's going to cost significant money to do it. Now, you'll have some cash coming off the books. Waino will be off the books. That will help. That's $17.5 million, which is about half the price of an ace, chances are. Maybe that's running it high, but you're looking at mid-20s at least if you're looking at the top end of the free agent market. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be very uncomfortable, but it's, to use a Moneyball quote, adapt or die. That's the way that the game is going right now, is the big time swing and miss. And if you don't have it internally within the organization, I'm not saying you have to have 5 guys like that either. I still think that good defense is important. This has not been overall a good defensive ball club this season, and there have been a lot of moving parts. The outfield had overall been atrocious. Things have been better since Tyler O'Neill came back. I believe that they need to be more athletic as far as a defense goes. I think that'll help. What else is going to help this swing and miss in this pitching staff is figuring out the catching situation. That's going to have to be better than this year, and there's going to have to be more clarity in that, whether it's Contreras and him making more strides or it's not Contreras. They're going to have to figure something out with that, because that's going to end up helping this pitching staff as well. But it's going to get uncomfortable, and the identity of, or the concept of, hey, we've always done things this way and it has worked for us, is true until a point. And we're at that point right now. The things that you have been doing here recently have not worked, and you find yourself in a position with a good nucleus where you could still go out and win next year, but it's going to take more than a tiny bit of tweaking when you're looking to add to the front end of your rotation.
So offensively, Brad, you think they're just kind of, they know exactly who they are? Because I think of guys like Alec Burleson, and the conversation last week was, how do you get more ABs for Alec Burleson? You're not, if everybody's healthy. I mean, you've gotten an abundance of talent, which is great, but when it comes to baseball, it can be very difficult to get somebody in a groove when he's not playing a lot, or he's just playing 2 games out of an entire week, and then it's like he goes 1 for 8, and it's, well, he didn't take care of his opportunities. Okay, is he a better player than the guy that went, or a worse player than a guy that went 4 for 8? He was in that stretch, but we're talking about a very small sample size. So how do you relieve that congestion with it among your position players while also getting proper value? I mean, I think that's a huge issue for the Cardinals. Or not an issue, it's a challenge.
It is a huge challenge. No, you're not wrong at all. And we also know this. Depth is incredibly important.
Yes.
So you have to have more guys. It's great to just say, hey, here's our 3 guys. We're going to run out Newt, O'Neill, and Walker. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these guys are all going to need downtime. You need guys on your bench. Maybe that's DC, who's getting more of a run here we've seen lately. Maybe that ends up being a guy like Burleson. Maybe they shift gears in a year and say, man, we'd love to have a young speedster like Victor Scott be a part of things. Dude's got 73 stolen bases this year. Still young, 22, but Bring right? That's a unicorn right now in the game, a guy that snags that many. I think Mike Antico's got a ton of stolen bases too, but he's in the 60s at least. But maybe that's the direction that you go. But it's good to have as many good players as you can. And then when you get into this offseason, that's when you start wheeling and dealing again. You heard Alec Burleson's name floated out there around the trade deadline. There's interest in a guy that has the skill set that he has offensively, not your prototypical 2023 player of super versatile, play a bunch of positions, athletic, but the dude can bang. And if you have a team that can handle that, I love the idea, and it sucks for him, dude. It really sucks for Alec Burleson. I love the idea of being able to have a guy with bat-to-ball skills like him to be able to come off the bench. I think that is a big luxury. Now, when you're a young hitter, you're trying to get a foothold in the big leagues. That job is terrible.
Yeah.
I know Dunk would talk about it all the time of trying to pinch hit, and he said, I spend the first 8 innings just worried about this one at-bat that I might have, and you're stressing yourself out. It's an incredibly hard job. But that outfield, Anthony, to your point, is going to be something that needs more clarification. I still think that, at some point, one of DC or Tyler O'Neill could get moved in an offseason. Their names were kicked around far too much to not have any traction there at some point. But don't you also want guys to just fight it out? Like, show me, prove to me that you want this job.
Right. I absolutely. I think competition breeds that fire. You kind of find out who somebody is. I also think because of the way baseball is, the nature of it, it's more difficult. It's a little bit easier to measure in maybe hockey or football. Show me it. Show me you want it. One guy takes somebody's head off, the other guy doesn't. You're like, this guy wants it more. Okay, but when it comes to baseball, the matchups are different, opportunities are different. I just think it's hard to it's more difficult to evaluate a player in baseball than any other sport, in my opinion.
No, I
because
think
there's
you're
so
right.
much that factors in.
Yeah, and if you're not getting everyday reps, how can you evaluate somebody on a small sample size like that? And that's why it's so easy for us to play Monday morning quarterback or to play armchair GM. It's a very difficult job, and one where you really have to rely on a lot of people. You got to rely on your data. You got to rely on your eyes. You got to rely on the new school. You got to rely on the old school, because you better know what you have within your organization, especially when you're about to make a deal with somebody else. So you better know that what you're giving away, you're getting what you believe to be better value coming back, or at least a quote-unquote baseball trade. I think that there are organizations that have gone too far one way or the other, and usually the too far one way is going to be numbers, analytics, without feel. I still believe that balance is one of the big things, and just using an Alec Burleson comp. Like, Alec Burleson is an old school baseball player. Like, this is a guy that he's a throwback. He's not your prototypical player of 2023. That doesn't mean he can't have significant value. You just have to know how to work a piece like that.
Brad, you have a great and fun series as the Cardinals take on the Rays, and we'll talk to you again in a couple of days.
Guys, I can't wait. I'm going to go out and work on my cinnamon tan out here in Florida.
Nice.
I walked around earlier. I think I'm already burnt. So, I think that's what I'm going to do. And I probably just won't walk to a local establishment and have a cold beer, chances are. So,
yeah, it doesn't
not going to do that.
That doesn't sound like you. No. Well, you work today,
Thanks a lot, Brad.
You know what?
We've got,
I deserve that.
Yeah, you do.
We've got 3 more
I'll
hours
FaceTime
here,
you
Brad.
guys.
Yeah.
I'll FaceTime you from the establishment.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sounds good. All right, BT, we'll see you, buddy.
All right, boys. See ya.
That's our guy, Brad Thompson. You can see him the next couple of nights on Bally Sports Midwest as the Cardinals take on the Rays. Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter, as Jamie just mentioned. We got 3 more hours here in the Fast Lane. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about some comments made by Eli Drinkowitz about the student athlete.
Drink. Stirring it up.
See what you did there. That's well played. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I love what he says. What are you going to do, though? That's next on 101 ESPN. 103, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Before we get into Eli Drinkwitz, wanted to talk about the fight fallout from the weekends.
What are you talking about? What fallout?
Tim Anderson suspended
fight?
6 games.
For what? Getting a beating?
That's what I thought. Because Jose Ramirez only got 3.
Do you get extra time because you lost?
I was wondering
I actually
that.
love the concept.
If so, Anderson gets three more games because he was the one that fell over?
No, yeah. 3 extra games for losing.
Yeah.
And
It's not a bad thought.
well, I think it's because I don't know how it really started. I saw it, but I was like, okay. My favorite part, though, I'm not going to lie, was the umpire just stepping back. It reminded me of the old days when you'd have a little yippy guy running around, and the referees would always get in there, and you could always tell when they didn't like a guy. They'd be like, all right, and they'd step back and be like, let him go. Mm-hmm. And then the one yippy guy would be like, oh, no, hang on.
Hey, this will police itself.
The umpire stepped back and was like, all right, go ahead. Yeah. And then he threw the glove down. I was like, I was watching him like, somebody's actually going to throw a punch.
It was kind of funny, though, watching Tim Anderson because he had the hands out. He got him up once, and then he dropped them down again. Like, buddy, are you defending yourself or not?
When he threw the punch, he threw it, and he was like admiring his punch, and so his left hand came down. Like you could watch, he's like this, he's squared up, and then he throws the punch, and it like comes to, he's like, oh yeah, like admiring it. They said, good night.
Good night.
Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
It's an amazing call.
And Jose Ramirez just like his head was down. He was just flailing.
Well, he threw a side fist, like he kind of clubbed him. It wasn't even like a really great punch. Just he hit him right in the sweet spot. Down goes Anderson.
Anyways, Tim Anderson suspended 6 games. Jose Ramirez out for 3. Jamie and I suspect it's because Tim Anderson lost the fight, so he gets 3. Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter, Fast Line on 101 ESPN. So Eli Drinkwitz was very passionate at a local media session talking about student athletes and how, let's just hear from Eli Drinkwitz. So this is what Drink said. Then Jamie and I will discuss, okay, what do you do about it then?
My question is, did we count the cost? I'm not talking about a financial cost. I'm talking about, did we count the cost for the student athletes involved in this decision? What cost is it to those student athletes? We're talking about a football decision. They based off football, but what about softball and baseball who have to travel cross country? Do we ask about the cost to them? Do we know what the number one indicator of symptom or cause of mental health is? It's lack of rest and sleep. Traveling in those baseball, softball games, those people, they travel commercial. They get done playing at 4. They got to go to the airport. They come back. It's 3 or 4 in the morning. They got to go to class. Did we ask any of them? I don't worry at all about the game. The game is going to be strong. Football's going to be fine. We'll all figure it out. But did we consider the people that we are entrusted with? Did we consider the student athlete? Because then we're asking them to go out on their own to get NIL. We didn't say we're going to revenue share. We're not saying they're getting a piece of it. So that's the thing that's bothering me right now in this whole situation is we keep trying to limit what the student athlete can do, but then we act on our own.
The fact that Eli Drinkwitz is making people aware of what maybe the softball team goes through, the baseball team goes through, or the non-revenue sports, so football and basketball, right? Making everybody aware of that, I think, is important. I also think it's important. His other point is that we talk. Okay, so now it's NIL, which I got no issue with. I know some people do because they're thinking back to their own college career and they don't like that they had to work in college to pay for their student books and things like that. Hey, listen, so did I. I understand that, but I can also separate that and understand that when somebody's willing to pay you for your image and likeness, you should get that money.
Yeah.
Which is what it wasn't before. In fact, you're getting punished for signing an autograph, your own handwriting. You're just being suspended. Mm-hmm. So I think they've corrected that issue, but Eli Drinkwitz is trying to bring the bigger picture of, okay, but there's still some other things that are outstanding. But here's the thing. In my opinion, Jamie, if you're willing to talk about this and you're willing to bring attention to it and awareness to it, great. But now this is also part of your responsibility to talk about how to problem solve it. How do you fix it now? Because Eli Drinkwitz turns around and goes to practice.
Yeah, but I don't think it falls on Drink's shoulders. Like, he's pointing out the obvious. I think what he was trying to say is it falls on the higher ups. Like, there's nothing Eli Drinkwitz can do about it. He's never even asked. Like, I guarantee that none of the coaches, I shouldn't say none of them, some of the coaches weren't even asked about changing conferences. I guarantee the higher ups were like, well, we got a way better chance of revenue over here.
Sure.
And so be it.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's how it works, though.
Yeah.
You own your own company. You own Synergy Hockey Skills and SynergyHockeySkills.com.
That's right.
Clear Camp coming soon.
No, it isn't.
Okay. You'll be. You know what? I could take this to a different.
You should.
Okay.
You know what? You should.
Fair enough. But Jamie, okay. So one of your employees comes to you and says, "Look, man, this is a problem. Okay, this is an issue. This is an issue. This is an issue." You want to hear your employee, I'm sure, and you want to make sure that you're taking care of that employee. You're also running a business. That employee is not worrying about the bottom line. I've seen you in our office. There are some days dedicated to, you've got calendars spread out all over your desk because you got to worry about payroll, you got to worry about scheduling, you got to worry about ice time, you got to worry about equipment, there's a lot on your plate. So an employee comes to you and says, Jamie, this is not right. You want to hear them, certainly, but they're not making those decisions like you are. So, okay, so to me, it's okay. How do you propose that we at Synergy Hockey, how do you propose that we go about fixing it? That's what I'm saying with Drake.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, look, it's sometimes what seems like a major problem for an employee in the grand scheme of things is not a major problem. It's something that you can maybe tweak or get better at, but it's not really affecting the company or the bottom line. It's just something that maybe isn't ideal for the employee. You have to recognize that, and you have to look at solutions, but the employee also, to your point, can bring solutions or thoughts on the situation. Now, here's the harsh reality, is if I have an employee that is driving revenue through the roof for me, and that employee says, hey, our best option is to change this, and we can make twice as much money. And I look at that and I go, holy crap. So all of us can benefit because we're going to drive up the revenues or make even more money. But then the one employee coming to me with the very small problem or with not quite a solution, it's not that you're overlooking it, but in the grand scheme of things, you're like, I can't let a housefly slow the train down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
You got to just keep plowing through.
You're important, but...
Yeah.
No.
And mine is so different because it's small business. And so you really have to manage people the right way. Because for me, my company is driven by the coaches that I have.
Sure.
Because I cannot always be on the ice 24/7. And when I'm not there, they represent the company. So for me, it's massive to make sure I'm taking care of my guys that work for me. My
you
employees.
care. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you get to the layers that this is, when you get the massive corporations or entities like the NCAA or these colleges, they just don't care. If they look at the softball team or the volleyball team, they don't care.
Yeah, you got a budget, and that's
if the volleyball team says, hey, we're not going to play, we're going to boycott this weekend of games, the college goes, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Let me know when you're ready to play, because we got a Saturday afternoon game where we're going to just absolutely rake financially.
That's the thing. I mean,
football.
How many seats does Michigan Stadium pack in? What's the capacity on that?
$90,000.
If you're filling 80 something, thousand seats on a Saturday, plus parking, plus concessions, plus whatever you're raking in from the Big Ten network. We all have appearance fees, right? You want Jamie Rivers to come out on a Saturday to your local establishment. There's a fee for that. Jamie's fee is going to be higher than me. Why? Because people want to see Jamie, not me. I understand that. I don't
pay a lot. I pay a lot, Stalter, to see you on a Saturday.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not going to go to the higher ups and say, yeah, Jamie's making more than me on these appearance fees. Yeah, well, 100 people showed up for Jamie. 2 showed up for you. What do you want me to do about it? So
I feel like you've been
I thought about
this, Anthony.
I don't even remember the last time we've ever done something like that. So that's kind of why I brought it up. But
you're trying to get ahead of it.
I'm trying to get ahead of it. Exactly. I'm trying to get the resentment out before the resentment actually hits. No, but you understand my point. Look, I love baseball. I attempted to play college baseball. It's not that I'm overlooking those sports. It's just, what are you going to do when football and basketball are bringing in so much revenue because people want to see it? Should they just share? Should they share? Should they? And it's a slippery slope. They might be able to share at Alabama and Texas and USC. Do all football programs in every single state? Can they also provide for the baseball team and the softball team? No, they can't. So again, it's kind of a slippery slope.
Well, I think there's another section to this conversation. What about the student athletes? And you heard Drink. He said they are going to get home late. They're going to maybe miss out on some sleep. What about the other end of that, where some of these student athletes might be pumped up to go play in the Big Ten? They might be excited to play some better competition. I mean, we'll use the Pac-12 for instance. The Pac-12 has been on a downslope for a while now. Yeah. I would rather go play Ohio State and Michigan than go play Colorado. Right. I don't care what sport it is. Yeah. You got to look at the other side of things too. These college athletes are there for a reason. They have that determination, and I think no matter what the circumstances is, they're going to want to go out there and compete against the best players at their respective sport. And fortunately for those Pac-12 schools, the ones that are leaving to go to the Big Ten, in some sports, they are going to play better competition. Yeah.
Again, I think it's great that he's bringing awareness to it. I agree with what he said. I think, even the mental health aspect of it, I think it's great. Okay, what are you also going to lead kind of the activism of this is what we should do, or are you just going to, hey, you should be aware of this, people. I got to get back out to the football field, so we'll see you later. There's kind of okay, it's great. I agree with everything. Now, what do we do about it? Oh, I don't know. Good luck with that.
And we're assuming, though, too, we're also assuming, to Marshy's point, that all these other sports are upset about it, where a lot of the football money drives into the facilities for the other sports.
Yeah, that's true, too.
A lot of the money that the football program brings in gets spread out so that they have better weightlifting equipment, better trainers, better facilities. And so some of those other sports might be like, hey, listen, it's not ideal to arrive at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I'm not going to worry about it because the next day I'm going to go lay in the hot tub with the specific jets and the massage hose and all that. Like, I'm going to be just fine. Yeah. I'll be good, thanks.
Right. Good call. Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter. It's the Fast Line on 101 ESPN. But let's get back to the Cardinals here. Are the Cardinals the team? Are the Cubs the team that the Cardinals thought they were? Marshy had a thought on this. It was kind of interesting. That's next on 101 ESPN.
Selling your home is a stressful process. Obviously, with the market kind of bouncing all over the place, you don't want to trust just anybody with selling your home. No, you want to go with the best. And the best is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And here's a couple reasons why. Gloria already has the buyers. Yes, Gloria has thousands of ready buyers in her exclusive database. These buyers create a higher demand, hopefully multiple offers, and more money for you at the end of it. And she's also mastered the process of selling your home as well as options for the seller. And one of the options I love is guaranteed sales. And what that is Gloria will sit down with you and figure out the listing price, and she'll sell your home for that price, or she will buy it herself. And she puts that in handwriting, guarantees it in handwriting. So please, with the market going as crazy as it is, pick up the phone and call Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Are the Cubs the team the Cardinals thought they were? With Jamie Rivers, I'm Anthony Stalter. Our guy Andrew Marsh thought of that. He had that thought, I should say. He had that thought as the hamster gets back on his wheel, Jamie. Marsh, what do you mean by that? What do you mean the Cubs? Do you think the Cubs are basically the team the Cardinals thought they were?
So you look at the Cubs, they've won 15 of their last 19 games. They're a game and a half out of first place.
So a good team.
Good team. Their offense has been just electric as of late. And it really has been all season long. And, you know, they did one thing that you mentioned that the Cards should do in the offseason was just go for the 1 year type guys. Look at Cody Bellinger. He's having a great year. We thought he would be going somewhere else at the deadline. We thought the Cubs would be sellers. They end up being buyers, and they're right in the thick of things when it comes to the NL Central. You look at the team, they have a really good offense, and they have solid pitching. So I'm wondering, is this the team that the Cardinals thought they were going to be this upcoming year?
Yeah, I'm sure they did think that. The question then is, why aren't they? Why aren't they that team? I mean, the Cubs, as you mentioned, Marsh, I think they've been like number one in runs scored over the last week. I think they were second 2 weeks ago. I think they were second 3 weeks ago. The Cubs have had the offensive production that the Cardinals at times have had, but not consistently enough. But the biggest difference, of course, is that while the Cubs pitching isn't perfect, it certainly has been much better than the Cards. They got outstanding work out of Marcus Stroman in the first half of the year. Then it waned. Now he's hurt. But Justin Steele has been excellent all season. Kyle Hendricks has gone back and forth between being very good and suspect, but you know they've had some pretty good pitching throughout. That's been the biggest difference. The Cardinals don't pitch. I mean, you could look at other teams around the league and say, okay, what are the Cardinals lacking compared to that team? And it'll always come back to pitching.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the Cubs, quite honestly, are probably surprised themselves with how this season has gone. They did take a chance on a couple of guys, Bellinger being one guy, and he has worked out swimmingly.
Mm-hmm.
They find themselves a game and a half out of first place. It's a team that's charging, and their offense at times has been absolutely off the charts.
Yeah.
So is this the team the Cardinals thought they'd be? I think the Cardinals thought they'd be even better than this. Quite honestly, I don't think they foresaw themselves being in last place 11 games out at this point. Mm-hmm. I think they projected themselves to be in first place with everybody, desperately trying to catch up to them.
Very true. When you also look at my buddy Travis just texted me, Cubs are also a good defensive team. He's right. I mean, I know I overlook the defense. BK, we were talking about it months ago, talking about where the Cardinals are lacking big time. They weren't a good defensive team for most of the first half. Mm-hmm. I don't really care. Like lately, they established themselves and established who they were in the first half. They didn't pitch well. Then they got injured. They also didn't, defensively they weren't there. That's a huge part of this. How many hits dropped in front of some of these outfielders? How many misplays in the corners led to extra base hits, or extra bases, I should say. That all matters. And when you have a pitching staff that's also not keeping the ball in the yard, and you're down 5-0, 6-0 before you really have had multiple opportunities to take your at-bats, you're going to be a losing team. That's what the Cardinals are. So they came into the year thinking that they were going to be, at the very least, average pitching. They were below average. They thought that their bullpen was going to be good, and you've blown games ad nauseum. And then they thought they're going to be an outstanding defensive team, and they haven't been. That's where they are. The Cubs are just a better overall team. And so are the Reds, and so are the Brewers.
Yeah.
Which is why you're in last place.
It's just been a weird year. It's been a weird year in a lot of ways surrounding the Cardinals and the Central Division, with the Cincinnati Reds making as much noise as they have all season long. They find themselves a game and a half back. The Cubs were supposed to be a lot worse. They're in the mix. The Brewers, we thought, would be there. I mean, in everybody's projections at the start of the season, they had the Cardinals and Brewers kind of battling it out for the NL Central.
Yeah.
Well, the Brewers are exactly what they are. Mm-hmm. They're a very mid team, and they're in a bad division, so it makes them competitive every year. They got great pitching. Yeah. They do. For the most part, their top three there are incredible. Mm-hmm. And their offense has been banging a little bit more this year than what I thought they could.
They've had guys step up because Brandon Woodruff just got back from injury. He missed most of the year. I think he's been out since late April. Well, he just came back. But Corbin Burns has been insane. He's been just filthy all year long. Freddie Peralta has been better than what he was a year ago. But Adrian Hauser has stepped up. Adrian Hauser is the guy nobody talks about because the other three got bigger names. Adrian Hauser's been very good for them. They've had guys step up defensively. They're solid. And Jamie, to your point about the offense, is not good. But they, timely hitting. And they got one guy, Christian Yelich can hit. Mm-hmm. So, I look at the NL Central and I know who everybody is except for the Cardinals. At least from a positive standpoint, I know who everybody else is.
We got a text from the 314. The better question is, what did the Cards think the Cubs would be? If they would have accurately seen what the Cubs would become, they might have gotten better pitching to combat the Cubs. I think that's a great question. And another question could be, did the Cards overvalue their players, or did they or overestimate how their players would do, or did they underestimate how other teams in their division would end up playing this season?
Okay, so I don't want to minimize the question because I think it's a good one in that, what did they not see in the Cubs?
Or just any team in the Central, for that matter.
My bigger point, and I made it a couple times last week, so if you heard this, I apologize, I'm going to repeat myself. They have to stop looking at the NL Central. What did the Cubs do that the Cardinals missed? Who cares? What have the Braves done that the Cardinals have not done for the last 3 years? What have the Dodgers done for the last 10 years that the Cardinals have not done? That's what I care about. But all due respect to Milwaukee, Milwaukee had the worst offensive performance in the postseason since Schoolboy Row and the boys were doing their thing in 1908.
How do you find a way to get that in at least once a week? At least.
It was a disastrous postseason for the Brewers. I don't care about the Brewers. I care about the Braves. I care about the Dodgers. I care about the teams in the National League that have been king of the castle for the last 3 years. I think part of the problem is, the Cubs did all this stuff and the Cardinals didn't combat it. Yeah, because who cares? The Cardinals need to look at the teams that are having sustained success. What are they doing? And what are they not? And what are the Cardinals not doing? I think if they don't look beyond the NL Central, you're not going to improve yourself enough to matter. That's my thought on that. It's Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. We'll play NFL 4 Downs next.
Well, Anthony, women's soccer is on the world stage, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, because they're America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet for up to $1,000. Anthony, what that means is you get $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/fast. Join today.
And when you do so, you'll see that the app, it's safe, it's secure, it's easy to use. When you win, well, they get you your winnings paid instantly. They've got player props, they've got team odds, they've got futures. You know, when it comes to women's soccer, or you're looking at just the tournament overall, you're going to be shocked by how many odds and fun things that they have at FanDuel. But you got to sign up, like Jamie said. FanDuel.com/fast, and you'll be able to participate. But check out the app.
So what do? You sign up for your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 at FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com/fast. That's FanDuel.com/fast to sign up. 21 and over, President, Illinois. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issues non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cards fall to the Rockies yesterday by a final score of 1-0. They lose 2 of 3 on the weekend against Colorado. They're off today. However, the Cards will be back in action tomorrow, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays in Tampa as Miles Michaelis takes the mound going up against Zach Eflin. 5:40 first pitch. We talked earlier today with our guy, Brad Thompson. If you missed any of that, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com and check out the full podcast. It'll be available after the show. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We have NFL 4 Downs coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's a Fast Lane on 101 to ESPN with Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter. Here is Andrew Marsh, NFL 4 Downs.
First down.
All right, gentlemen. Which team has the biggest expectations heading into this upcoming year?
Detroit Lions.
Oh, stop. You just try to jinx my team. The Detroit Lions.
Everybody's talking playoffs to the Lions, right?
Well, yeah.
Everybody's talking about them
Super Bowl, though, or anything like that.
being a legit team, a force in this NFC.
They are.
The Lions making the playoffs is like going to the Super Bowl.
No.
Are you serious?
We won't be satisfied until we lift that beautiful silver trophy next year.
Like I said, it's the Lions.
Really? You think they have the biggest expectations?
Yeah, I do.
I think it's the New York Jets.
That's a good one, too.
I think it's the Jets. I mean, just watching all of this evolve here now where you have the trade, Hard Knocks, and then you see the video clips of Aaron Rodgers who's calling plays into Zach Wilson's helmet, and they're like super buddies. And it's like, what is going on here? Aaron Rodgers wouldn't stop to throw water on Jordan Love if he was on fire.
Yeah.
But here he is like big brother for Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
Like,
everything's good now.
it's because he came in there. Had they drafted Wilson afterwards,
Right.
then it would be the same problem.
Right. That's a great point.
Yeah, so I think it's the Jets.
Yeah, that was a good one.
What about the Bills? I know you mentioned last week that Josh Allen would get a lot of heat if they don't end up making a serious run to the Super Bowl this year. Are the Bills still a part of that?
The Bills are in
conversation.
Yeah, they are. They're in that conversation. But I almost think the expectations have kind of shifted a little bit. Now, instead of everybody hyping up the Bills like they're hyping up the Jets and the Lions this year, they're almost looking at the Bills like, well, you better do something. You know, I believed in you the last 2 years, you son of a... You better do something now.
Well, this
I
would
feel
be...
like that's what it's been.
Yeah.
Where the Lions are like, you've done nothing. I believe in you.
Well, anything's better than what they've done before.
True.
So,
Yeah.
This would be the year, though, where it seems like all the expectations are somewhat starting to slowly go away for the Bills, that they would make a serious run.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But that's kind of what I'm saying. You're right. The expectations have lowered a little bit.
Sure.
But it's still that keen eye of you got Josh Allen, you're going to waste it, you know? So for the Bills, in some respects, yeah, maybe it is a kind of a conference championship or bust situation because they haven't even got to the conference championship yet. Forget Super Bowl.
true.
Second down.
Which team has the best wide receiver tandem in the league? Last week, the opening drive, they talked with Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, talking about the best tandems ever in the history of the NFL. But how about current teams? Which team has the best wide receiver tandem?
Not including like tight ends, so we're just talking about wide receivers.
I'm not
Period.
including the tight end.
Okay, then the Eagles.
Well, would you like to expand on that or just dropping the
A.J. Brown.
They got
and
A.J. Brown. They got Devonta Smith. A.J. Brown, one of the best, most physical wide receivers Devonta Smith is for being so young, he's one of the best route runners in the league. I think that's the best tandem. The second best would be Jamar Chase and, T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Size, speed on the outside.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I think one could maybe argue that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are in that
That one's
conversation
very
as well.
exciting, absolutely. Yeah, they're in the photo.
Where would you put Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on this list? Like, they're not as dynamic.
Top 5, probably, yeah.
But, yeah, I just
But
wonder
like
where
fifth.
they would rank on the list,
So I would go Eagles, but like the top 3 are very close. So I would go Eagles, Bengals, Dolphins, and then maybe that combo 4-5. They've had some injury issues. Mike Evans coming off the down year last year.
I'm looking at it as, when they're healthy and not necessarily at their best, but, someone like that.
I think this upcoming year, you look at Deebo Samuel, and I think Brandon Ayuk could have a huge breakout
I like
year.
them more than I like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. So
Yeah.
maybe 4 and them 5. I'm probably overlooking.
Will having
Some obvious
Brock
ones.
Purdy as the quarterback affect that, though?
I don't think so because the system, the scheme is so good. that
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan will design open plays for Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk is developing. To Marsh's point, he's developing into a really good outside the numbers receiver. Someone with a combination of size and speed. You want size and speed on the outside. You want to be able to beat one-on-one coverage either down the field or in the short to intermediate routes. And Brandon Ayuk is becoming that guy.
Third down.
Which player will have a breakout campaign this season?
So kind of, he's either a young guy that hasn't developed yet, but has promise, or somebody that's already kind of established, but then wins the Super Bowl.
I think it could be both, whichever way you guys want to play.
Well, I think make your pick and describe what you're why you're picking that player. So one that jumps off the page to me right away is Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
In Jacksonville. I look at him. I know he's established himself, but last year was his second year, and he did good. But I feel like this year could be like that next step to where you're like, holy crap.
He was really a rookie last year because he didn't get any coaching from Urban Meyer in that first year. That was just
boy, more stuff leaking out about Urban Meyer. Huh?
What I missed it. What do we got?
One of their safeties from that year. His name escapes me right now, but he was on a podcast. And he was talking about the Urban Meyer experience where after one of the games he was interviewed and he was talking about Urban Meyer and he was like, hey, man, he's doing a really good job for a rookie head coach and all this stuff. Well, I guess Urban Meyer called this guy in the middle of the night pretty much, but it came from the offensive the receivers coach's phone. And so he answered it, but it was Urban Meyer. And he's like, did you really call me a friggin' rookie head coach? He's like, I should cut you right now. I want to cut you right now.
Wow.
And then the guy had to apologize and was like, and then he had to go in the next day and apologize. And Urban Meyer was like, I could cut you right now. Just let you go. Just cut you loose. Like a whole power trip again.
Jeez, how sensitive you got to be.
I might be botching that up just a little bit, but that's the essence of it. So if anybody wants to Google it or whatever, it's out
loser.
there. That happens.
I was just about to say that. What a loser.
Absolute turd.
Just a
He was a rookie head coach.
Loser behavior.
He's a rookie NFL coach.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So
wow. I think a lot of people are going to go with Justin Fields, but I think people have overhyped him to this degree.
It's the real deal.
So as far as a breakout candidate, man, this one's tough. You know who I think could have a really good season and lead his team to a playoff, and he's got enough around him, and I think he could take the next step, would be Kenny Pickett. I think he's got really good coaching.
Ooh.
I don't love the offense, but I think there's enough there. He certainly has enough wide receivers and George Pickens and who's the other outside guys there? His name is escaping me. Who's the other? Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson's on the outside. You got Kenny Pickett. You got George Pickens. So Kenny Pickett.
Yep.
I think he could have a good year. I don't know if it's going to be like breakout and he wins MVP and all that. No, but I think he did enough last year to establish that he could be somebody to build around. And this year, I think he could have a good year.
Let me throw a name out to you. a guy that needs to have a breakout year, someone close to home for you, and that would be Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. I know he is from tight end.
Like a run blocking standpoint, he needs to break out because
he's a quarterback.
We're going to be running the ball a lot.
Just in general, I'm saying he needs to be involved and make an impact on this team because he was drafted to be an impact player.
Yeah, but he can only do so much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He needs to break out, and that's going to be because of other players around him. Do the Falcons have those players? Anthony believes that they do because they're going to be a wild card team.
I do think they're going to be a wild card team. I think they're going to.
Kyle Pitts has to be a part of that.
I think they're going to. I think they're going to run the ball constantly. I think they're going to win one possession games, just like the Vikings. Basically, take the Vikings recipe last year and use it against
the recipe.
He's not going to make it through the season.
No, how come?
No, I'm not being a jerk. They're going to run him into the ground.
They got other guys. They got Drake. They got Drake London. They got Kyle Pitts.
Oh no, they said it's the Bijan era now.
They've got Cordell Patterson.
I love Cordell Patterson.
They've got their guy from a year ago. So you're good. Got 9 running backs.
Got their guy from a year.
4th down.
Who's the running back from Boise?
Oh, what is his name? I don't know. A lot of people were were picking him up.
Running backs are dime a dozen. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised you don't know his name.
I'm blanking.
Tyler Algier.
Yeah, Tyler Algier. That's right.
The fifth round pick, Jamie.
Clearly.
5th round pick. Had a nice season last year.
He did, Anthony.
You don't need a 1st round running back, but
you're right.
Unless you're the Falcons.
You need all the help you can get.
You got to utilize him as a receiver, running back, quarterback, punter,
kicker,
coach.
Basically, he's going to be Taysom Hill.
Oh, jeez. Which rookie quarterback?
He's a pass rusher.
Which rookie quarterback is set up for the most success this season?
I think Bryce Young, because of what he did at Alabama. They asked him to do a lot in that offense. They asked him to do more in that offense than C.J. Stroud was asked to do in Ohio State's offense. I think when somebody, there's only so much you can do at a college level from a passing standpoint. But when you make that jump from college to the pros, how much were you asked to do in the offense when you were in college? Were you asked to call plays? Were you asked to make audibles? Were you asked to set the line protections? Were you asked to read a defense? Bryce Young was able to do all that last year. C.J. Stroud was not. C.J. Stroud, a lot of times, very good year, very good player. I'm excited to see what he can do in Houston, but a lot of times, look at the sidelines, give me the play. I look, one read, and go. The quarterback position is way more than that, and these guys find it out at the NFL level, and a lot of times you have to pare it back a lot. I don't think you have to pare back as much for Bryce Young as you would a C.J. Stroud or Will Levis or anybody else. So
I agree.
Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh, Anthony Stalter, it's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Did the WBC lead to an identity crisis for the Cardinals?
Oh, we're talking about this again?
Yeah. More excuses next on 101 ESPN.
In the market for replacement windows, please head over to Window World, the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. Window World has a double-strength glass that gives it a strength that you just don't find in ordinary replacement windows. And I know this because I went and stood on a window at the warehouse, and John Gillette, the owner, told me to bounce a little bit, and I did, and the window didn't break. It's a fantastic quality there. They also cover those windows with a lifetime warranty that covers all the parts, glass breakage, and labor, and customer service is at the forefront of everything for Window World. They want to make sure that they provide you with a great product, but that you like the service and that you are satisfied when you're done. And also, Window World is doing some great things in the community. We talked about it earlier today. They had their big trivia night for Action for Autism. Just an amazing event, and everybody from Window World was there working and helping raise money They just do a lot of amazing things in the community, as well as providing you with great windows and excellent customer service. So please give them a call. Tell them Jamie Rivers sent you in. That number's 314-993-1800. Again, that's 314-993-1800, or you can look them up at windowworld.com.
It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. So, WBC was the problem. The old Cardinals. Right, guys?
No,
This is WBC. It's
the root of all evil. Get rid of it. I don't ever want to see it again. I mean, nobody liked it. All the fans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All those people that were cheering and loving it. It's the devil. Get rid of it. That's it.
Well said, Jamie.
You're welcome.
Well said. Well, this came up because at least for the White Sox, one player thought it was a bit of an issue. So you're looking at the WBC, and in fact, one White Sox player. The White Sox were kind of had an interesting weekend overall because you had the one player, who was at Middleton, that went to the Yankees and just decided, hey, I'm going to spill all the secrets to everything that happened when I was in Chicago. The WBC part of it, though, as I pull up the actual quotes, I don't hack it up. Let me see here.
You just give us your version, Anthony.
No, I
Sometimes
don't want
that's
to do
fun.
that. I don't want to do that. Hold on. Give me a second here. Where's the WBC article here, Marsh? Do you have it in front of you? As I drown? Or you got the audio to it? That'd be even better.
Guys, can I help out in any way possible at this point?
If you have it in front of you.
I have it.
There you go. Go ahead.
All right, so Middleton was saying, if you're trying to create culture, you need your big dogs. The guys who played in the WBC were our big dogs, and those are the guys I feel like can police the things that are happening. There was no gelling of the team. We're supposed to find our identity in spring training so we can roll out for the season. If you don't find your identity, you're scuffling from day one. And when he was asked about if their void exists. He said, leadership in general, they say, blank rolls downhill. I feel like some guys don't want to speak up when they should have. It's hard to police people when there are no rules. If guys are doing things that you think are wrong, who is it wrong to, you or them? It's anyone's judgment at that point.
So the idea was, okay, does that also apply to the Cardinals? Can we look at the WBC as being an issue for the Cardinals? Because you had Adam Wainwright, Miles Michaelis, and Lars Nootbaar, and Tyler O'Neill, and who else played in the WBC?
They had 13 guys.
Yeah. So was the WBC part of the issue for the Cardinals?
Here's the way I look at it is, for the most part, like the Cardinals did not have a lot of turnover on their roster. Contreras was really the only new guy, right? Am I missing something? Like Walker, he worked his way in, but Walker was, he was a young rookie. It's not like he was new to the ball club as far as the organization is concerned. So I don't know how you haven't already established your culture. I don't know how the accountability and all these things that they're talking about, they're alluding to leadership.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing for me that factors into it that went sideways is that they had the pitchers gone to the WBC, and then the whole Contreras thing. That's kind of where it grew roots. Was we weren't there long enough to get to know Wilson Contreras. Although Wilson Contreras passed up on the WBC to be a part of your team and to try and do all that stuff. Honestly, guys, it's an excuse.
Agreed.
There's a portion of it to where maybe you have some speed bumps at the start of the season. But, come on. At what point do you just finally say, hey, look, we're not a really good ball club this year?
We weren't good enough.
What about the teams that had a bunch of WBC guys there? The Houston Astros were tied with the Cardinals with 13 guys at the WBC. How are they doing, by the way?
Jose Altuve, Christian Javier, Martin Maldonado, Jeremy Pena, Ryan Priestley, Kyle Tucker, Jose Urquidy. Those are the Astros players. Now, some of those guys have been banged up, like Urquidy, I think, just got back from an injury. But Jose Altuve went to the WBC, got hurt, Astros still survived. Kyle Tucker's been one of their best players.
That's your leadership group. Those are a part of the leadership.
And they weren't there. How did they do it?
Right.
Exactly.
How about this? The Dodgers. So, because I had the same thought that Jamie did. What other teams had a bunch of guys from their leadership group go to the WBC? How have they fared? Well, how about this? The Dodgers. You know who they sent to the WBC this year? Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Julio Urias. These are guys that, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Will Smith, that's the middle of your lineup.
They're also better players, in my opinion, than what the Cardinals have rolling out there.
The Braves had 7
players,
too. The Braves.
The Braves had 7. I think Ronald. I looked at the Braves, but Acuna was the main guy. Yeah,
but that doesn't matter. You're still missing guys. I'm sorry. I don't buy into this narrative.
You weren't good enough. You weren't good enough from the start.
The one thing I will say is I did not like how Miles Michaelis was handled at the World Baseball Classic, and I think that directly could have impacted how he fared in April.
Yeah, maybe.
Which, there's a few losses right there.
Right, but you made your choice.
For sure. I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm just saying I think if we look at direct impact, I think the way that he was handled during that tournament sort of led to how he performed in April.
Fair. The WBC had no effect on Waino. No. Waino was bad over the last 7 starts last year. It carried into spring training, carried into the WBC, and it carried into the regular season. It sucks. I hate it. But that's one guy in your rotation. Miles Michaelis made the decision to go to the WBC. I think that's fantastic. If he was impacted by that and it led to a bad April, well, that's on him. If you look at, Jack Flaherty didn't go to the WBC. Who else in this rotation? Steven Matz didn't go to the WBC.
Yeah. Well,
these are all guys that started slow. You had a bad start in April, and you never recovered.
What about this thought is, everybody's blaming or using the WBC as an excuse, but here's my thought on it is, okay, so let's just say it wasn't optimal overall. I think the bigger problem is you had guys that went to the WBC, your team did not start the season very well, and then it reared its ugly head on your new catcher. I think shifting...
This is your fault.
I think shifting the blame from the WBC to Wilson Contreras did more damage than the WBC did.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about tainting the culture? You get a new guy who passed up going to this awesome tournament that everybody loves to play for their country. He stuck around and sat back, and then he's the one that was all of a sudden, it's your fault. How about, never mind that, how about it's the front office's fault?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is if you acquired the wrong guy for $87.5 million, that's nothing to do with the WBC.
Right.
I mean, absolutely nothing to do with that.
Well said. Yep.
Is this a different team, though, even if Wilson Contreras is not on this team? If Sean Murphy's on this team?
No, not because of the pitching.
The pitching's terrible.
The pitching wasn't good enough.
You could talk about, and there will be people that say, well, the way he calls the game and this and that, okay, fine. But when he's lining up and he's down and away and the pitch goes middle center, like, what are we doing here?
Right.
That's nothing to do with Contreras as the pitch he called, or you're not locating.
Would they be better off with Sean Murphy? Probably. Would they be a better team? No, because the pitching and the defense still stunk.
Sure. At the end of the day, though, does this team have an identity crisis, or is it simply?
I think it does, and and we'll get into that after the Gauntlet. Yeah, because we kind of talked to BT a little bit about that, but I think they have an identity crisis right now. I think the front office wants this team desperately to be something, but they're not willing to make the changes or sacrifices to see it through. So we'll talk about that. But we do have the Gauntlet next on 101 ESPN.
Save money right now on your car or home insurance by calling Tracy Bibb, the Bibb Agency with Allstate Insurance. They're always looking to fight for you to get the best price, but also smart enough to know that you need the coverage. It's where a lot of people make mistakes, is they just want the best price and they sacrifice the coverage. Well, guess what? If you're not covered properly, you're going to end up paying more money out the back end on that, and that's why Tracy Bibb and the Bibb Agency is there to take care of you. And they treat you like family, too. I know this because I've been with the Bibb Agency for about 4 years now, and whenever anybody in my house has a problem, Tracy and her representatives are right there to help. And they just contacted me last week, say, hey, look, it's about time to get a full review here of all your insurance policies, make sure everything's up to date, make sure you're getting the best rate, because a lot of things have changed. I've never had that before, not by the 1-800 numbers. They never called me and said, hey, let's review your stuff. Nope, they don't care. Tracy Bibb cares. The Bibb Agency cares. And that's why I want you to call her today and get a free non-committal quote. That number is 314-328-4260. Again, that number is 314-328-4260. It's no fib. You're in good hands with Tracy Bibb.
one challenger. Can you master the Gauntlet?
Brought to you by Master, your hometown source for business communications for more than 30 years. Visit masstour.com.
It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Jamie Rivers and Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter. Time for the Gauntlet, and we have Armin in today. What's up, Armin?
How are you guys doing today? Happy Monday.
We're doing great, man. Happy Monday to you. First time in the Gauntlet?
Second time, seeking revenge after Marshy today.
Oh, nice. So you already know you want the Marsh bag.
Give me Marshy.
Okay, I like that. You know what, Armin? You've locked in. You've got a purpose today, and I appreciate that. I respect that. So
I appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
So what category did you lose to Marsh in? Do you remember?
Believe it or not, it was random. I lost on some of the Full House questions and some of other nonsense questions.
Those were great questions.
Yeah. So anything but random would be ideal today. But if you land on random, it is what it is. Life goes on.
So this is Armin's first time doing Gauntlet 2.0.
Gotcha. Yep. All right. Okay, well, Armin, go ahead. Tell Marsh to spin that wheel, and then Marsh will make his way into the cone of silence.
Sounds good, Marsh. Spin that wheel.
All right, so we're hoping for not random, and typically that's a problem because the wheel hears that, and the wheel then grants what you don't want. Marsh just said before he left that he doesn't want it either. Well, good news for both Armin and Marsh. It is not random. Armin, if you had a category that you wanted to see, what would that category be?
I would go baseball.
Well, Armin, it is baseball.
Oh, baby.
It is baseball. So,
okay.
Four questions to you. Same 4 questions to Marsh. Each question is worth 2 points unless either of you guys need the options today, and therefore those questions will be worth 1 point. Armin, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Question 1. The last time the Cardinals made a trade with the Angels, who did the Cardinals send to L.A.? Who did they trade to L.A.?
I feel like I should know this. Nothing is in my gut telling me what it is. So let's play it safe and go with the options.
Brad Miller, David Freese, Dexter Fowler.
Brad Miller, Freese, or Fowler. I'm going to go with Dexter Fowler. Final answer.
Okay.
All right, Armin, question number 2. Between playing for the Mets and the Cardinals, which team did Steven Matz play for one season?
I'm going to take a shot here because I think I know the answer to this and say Seattle Mariners. Final answer.
All right, Armin. Question 3. Which former Cardinal still holds the record for most strikeouts in a single game with 19? Which former Cardinal still holds the record for most strikeouts in a single game with 19?
Couple names come to mind. Let's take the options just to be safe.
Dizzy Dean, Bob Gibson, Steve Carlton.
Got to go with Bob Gibson. Final answer.
All right, Armin, final question of the day. The World Series last season was won by the Astros in how many games?
Oh, boy. I don't know. Let's take a shot in the dark and say 6 games. Final answer.
Okay. Welcome back, Marsh, here in a second. So, Armin, how you feeling in your revenge spot?
Not great, to be honest with you.
Okay, all right.
I feel like I'm about to get smoked by Marshy again.
Ooh. Was it that bad the first time?
It was pretty bad the first time, not going to lie.
Okay, all right.
Well,
But hey, you know what? I came in with confidence. I want to get my revenge, and here I am.
Well, we welcome back Marshy. He's got the ears plugged in. He's chugging his water right now. Armin, I will say this, that our guy Marshy is pretty good at baseball.
All right.
We'll
All
see.
right. May the best man win.
There we go. Marshy.
I like it.
Pack a lunch, bro.
So it's baseball, huh?
It is baseball tonight.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Which team did Schoolboy Rowe play for in 19... Never mind. The last time.
That would be the Cleveland...
Municipal...
Yeah, no, I don't know.
All right. No. Real question. Question one.
All right.
The last time the Cardinals made a trade with the Angels, who did they send to L.A.? Who did the Cardinals trade to L.A.?
Oh, damn. The last time, there's so many names I'm thinking of. They sent Fernando Salas to the Angels. They sent Randall Grichuk there. They sent David Freese there. Last time. Ooh. I'm probably going to have to use the options just based on the date. I could probably date the options, but I think the answer... I don't know. Let's use the options. Let's just use the options.
Brad Miller, David Freese, or Dexter Fowler?
Oh, wow. Dexter Fowler. Did they trade him? Yeah, I think they did. They did. Let's go Dexter Fowler. Your favorite player, Anthony. Final answer. I forgot about that.
By far his favorite player.
Brad Miller. Did they trade Brad Miller? Yeah, I don't know.
Nelson.
Dexter Fowler.
Guy was Babe Ruth for a while.
He was.
Hey, what?
Question number 2. Between playing for the Mets and the Cardinals, which team did Steven Matz play for one season?
Between the Mets and the Cards.
That's correct.
Was it not the Toronto Blue Jays? It's the only team I can think of. Let's go with Blue Jays. Final answer.
Question number 3. Which former Cardinal still holds the record for most strikeouts in a single game with 19?
19? I think it's Bob Gibson, is it not? Bob Gibson. Final answer.
Shooting a shot here. Eh? My goodness. Young man. A lot of bravado.
I'll tell you.
Question number 4, Marshy. Last question of the day. The World Series last season was won by the Astros. In how many games?
Well, they won at home. They were the home team. It did not go 7 games. It went 6 games. And that is my final answer, is 6 games.
Okay. Let's go over these today. Armin versus Marsh. Here we go. This is a revenge spot for Armin.
A lot of emotion tied to this.
Yeah, he called out Marsh right away. He knew who he wanted. They've been waiting for this for almost a year.
Oh, boy.
Armin versus Marsh, round 2. Wow. The last time the Cardinals made a trade with the Angels, who did the Cardinals send to L.A.? Armin, you said Dexter Fowler. Marsh, you said Dexter Fowler. Correct answer is...
Anthony's favorite player, Dexter Fowler.
But...
Wow.
Both of you needed the options. 1-1. 1-1 tie. 1-1 tie. Which former Cardinal still holds the record for most strikeouts in a single game with 19? Armin, you went with Bob Gibson. Marsh, you went with Bob Gibson. I'll tell you up front, Marsh did not need the options for this, though. Armin did. Correct answer is...
Bob Gibson, not the answer. Steve Carlton.
Steve Carlton was the answer on that. So we still have a 1-1 tie between Armin and Marsh. The World Series last season was won by the Astros in how many games? Armin, you went with 6. Marsh, you went with 6. Correct answer is...
It was 6.
Neither of you needed the options on that. Neither of you needed the options. We're all tied up at 3 apiece.
I can already see where this is going.
The pressure.
I already forgot what the question was.
It comes down to the Steven Matz question. Between playing for the Mets and Cardinals, which team did Steven Matz play for one season? Neither of you guys used the options. This is the only question you had separate answers on. I can tell you that both options were there, though.
Both answers were options.
Both answers were options. Thank you. Both answers were options. Marsh, you went with Mama Rivers, Toronto Blue Jays. Armin, you went with nobody's Seattle Mariners. If it's the Mariners, it's Armin. If it's the Blue Jays, it's Marsh. In a revenge spot today. Correct answer is
Mama Rivers Blue Jays.
Armin.
You have chosen poorly.
You lose.
Not today.
That question was worth 2 because Marsh didn't need the options on that, so he gets you 5-3 today in a spirited battle, but he got you again, Marsh. Sorry, bud.
It's okay. As soon as I heard the answers, I knew it was over. Time for me to crawl under back a rock and not text you guys back in about a year again.
No, Armin, we want to hear from you, man.
It will be 1 year closer to Anthony's clear at camp.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Which will not be brought to you.
Too, I appreciate you guys having me on, and a happy belated anniversary again to Jamie and his beautiful girlfriend, and thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Armin, thanks,
you guys
buddy.
have a good rest of your day.
You too, Armin. Take care, buddy.
Yeah. Well, once again, without fail, Marsh absolutely hammers with the nicest guy in the world.
Marshy fist pumps the nicest guy in the city, right? Nice job.
Again. Everybody's everybody's very nice that joins the Gauntlet, but I feel like Marsh.
He remembered my anniversary and everything. That's really nice.
Marsh
At least
just
I'm consistent.
Just takes the chainsaw to these people.
Well,
How do you sleep at night?
I sleep like a baby.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just vicious, this guy.
Just taking souls.
Man,
Do you guys not remember what the number 1 rule is of this show?
Well,
Nobody's safe.
Yeah, well, the second.
bury the bodies.
Bury the bodies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I view that as like a loyalty thing, though. You know, not necessarily a thing to.
Marshy took it a different way.
Yeah, he
Anthony,
certainly did.
It's all in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
You know.
It's all up for interpretation.
Wow. Either way, who do the Cardinals want to be? I don't know.
Anybody else?
The Braves,
Not
probably.
the nice guy.
Maybe not the Royals.
No. All right, we'll talk about that next on 101 ESPN. earlier in the show, we talked to Brad Thompson, and we'd asked him, do the Cardinals know who they are? And we kind of walked through the identity of the team. Well, who do the Cardinals want to be? It's a similar question, and it's one they certainly have to answer in the offseason. Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter, it's the Fastlane on 101 ESPN. I think that this conversation, Jamie, is interesting as it relates to the Tyler O'Neill discussion. Because if you know who you are and you know who you want to be, I don't know if you have as much congestion as you do right now in the outfield. I don't know if you're moving players all the way, all around like you are, or trying to constantly get at bats for guys like Dylan Carlson and Alec Burleson and on and on. I think when teams know who they are, there is this, okay. And it doesn't, by the way, it doesn't have to be the Braves where it's like, same 9.
It could be. That'd be fine.
Could be. That'd be great.
I'd be fine with that.
Trust me. It'd be great. If it's the Braves or it's Ronald Acuna is going to be your center fielder every day. Ozzie Albies is going to be your second baseman every day.
Well, it depends what the matchups are.
No, it really doesn't. That's the lineup, Ozuna's going to be the DH. Austin Riley's going to be a third. Matt Olson's going to be a first. Not William Contreras. He's in Milwaukee now, but Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy is going to be, the only changes is when they want to get Travis d'Arnaud in the lineup. That's really it. The Braves know who they are. The Dodgers,
really good.
Yeah, absolutely. The Dodgers mix and match, but they too know who they are. They know that for the most part, Freddie Freeman's going to be at first, Max Muncy's going to be somewhere in the lineup, and on and on. Rays, same deal. They may mix and match, but they know how they want to mix and match. The Giants know who they are. Their lineup may be different every single night, but they know if there's a lefty on the hill, this is our team. If it's a righty, this is our team. I don't think the Cardinals know who they are. I think they want to desperately be like both. I think they want to be the Braves, and I think they want to be the Dodgers. I think they want to be, a team that can have this positional flexibility, but it leads to problems. The Giants can do it because they have a bunch of guys that aren't making $250 million. They don't have Paul Goldschmidt. They don't have Nolan Arenado. They don't have Wilson Contreras that they paid $80-something million to. They have like 3 catchers, 3 first basemen, 3 second basemen. The Cardinals are this mix and match team, but Arenado and Goldie and Contreras and Donovan and Edman and now Walker and Wynn will be established players. I don't think they know who they want to be. And I think that's part of the issue. And they have a good offense. So that's not even the problem. From a pitching standpoint, I think they now know that if their defense falters and with no, the ban on the shift, you can't be a pitching staff that is pitched to contact.
Not the contact they've been giving up.
Not the contact they've been giving up. Where your third baseman has to wear a helmet. So I don't think the Cardinals right now, maybe they do know who they are, but are you going to make the changes to be who you want to be? And they better be a team that spends to get more swing and miss into the rotation.
Yeah, so I look at the Cardinals and the pitching is obviously, it's the number one problem that they've had this year. It doesn't take anybody all that knowledgeable in baseball to see that. I mean, it's pretty evident. I look at them as a very good offensive team, but I also look at it as like all the outfielders that they have, all the middle infielders that they have, the middle infielders that are also outfielders. Like, I feel like the roster flexibility kind of turned into a bit of the enemy at the same time, because you have so many options on so many different games, and but I'd like to have guys. So you said the Braves, Ronald Acuna is, Ozzie Albies, these guys are going to be there. The only guys I'm pretty sure about on this Cardinals roster is that Paul Goldschmidt's going to be at first base and Nolan Arenado's going to be at third. That's pretty much it. I mean, Taylor Motter, who knows where the hell they're going to play him on a daily basis. Brendan Donovan's out now, but he was a second baseman, shortstop, first baseman at times, left fielder, right fielder. You've got Dylan Carlson, who's center field, right field, bench. So you just when I look at this team, the flexibility, it's nice to have it, but man, I'd like to have certainty. I'd like to know that Tommy Edman's going to be the shortstop every single day. Nolan Gorman, I understand him at second base. He's pretty much been there, but then they screw around every now and then with the lineup, and he's not there. He's DHing, and you've got somebody else there. I don't know. I think that messes sometimes with the identity of your team, of when you're when you have too many moving parts in your lineup on a daily basis. And I think that that can lead to what we've seen this year with the inconsistent defensive play.
Yeah.
Because although Tommy Edman is a great center fielder, he's a Gold Glove second baseman and a Gold Glove nominee at shortstop. But now we put him in center field. Well, he's good in center field. Okay, but then what's your option now? Then who have you got at shortstop? Or what? You got Dylan Carlson now not getting reps in center field, or Lars Nootbaar, whoever you want your center field to be, they're not getting reps because you have an infielder out there now.
Yeah.
So I know some of it was due to injury this year at times, but some of it wasn't. Sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was just like, I don't know, we're going to put all these names in a bucket and figure out who's going to play where.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes that can work against you.
If you do see Tommy Edman playing center field in this back half of the season, what is that telling you? Is that telling you that they are committed to trying to get some of these outfielders more work, or are they committed to winning because they believe that Tommy Edman is their best center fielder on the team?
Where's he playing next year?
That's another question that you have to wrangle with.
He's probably going to play center field. If Mason win, and he's banged up right now, apparently he's got an injured glute.
A buttock.
Yeah. But if Mason Wynn's going to be your shortstop every year next year. Every game next year. And Nolan Gorman is your second baseman because you don't have a DH spot. That is reserved for Contreras 3 games a week, and whoever else. Then Tommy Edman's probably your center fielder. Or you have to stop the madness and trade one of these guys.
You have to choose
for a pitcher. And I get it. It depends on the market. Like the Seattle Mariners, I know they've been brought up a lot. Hey, trade for Logan Gribble. Seattle might say, go chase yourself. I got a young pitching staff. Why would I trade you anything? I'm not gonna give you a pitcher. So if something's not available this offseason, then okay, nothing you can do. But if you have an opportunity to trade for a guy that's young, cost controlled, okay. I think part of the flexibility, the good thing about the flexibility, hey, you can mix and match and do all that stuff. You know what the bad part is? Are you properly evaluating these guys? Would you have properly evaluated Randy Arozarena if you didn't have Harrison Bader and Tyler O'Neill and Dexter Fowler and all these other dudes? Would you have properly evaluated Adolis Garcia if you didn't have all the same guys I just mentioned? Are you going to properly evaluate Dylan Carlson when you also have Tyler O'Neill and Lars Nootbaar and Tommy Edman and Brendan Donovan and Jordan Walker and Alec Burles in your lineup? Flexibility's nice. Are you properly evaluating these guys? Because you could trade Dylan Carlson right now. You can make up your mind. But the bottom line is a 24-year-old kid that had plenty of potential not too long ago. You know, trade him for a 4th starter? Really? Fourth or 5th starter? Then don't bitch when he's raking.
That's a situation
because he's playing every day.
They put themselves in, though.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to. Do you have the balls to say we know what the issue is and now we're gonna do something about it, or are we gonna see the same thing next year with these outfielders? Because I think that could happen. And with every home run that Tyler O'Neill hits, I'm almost guaranteed it's gonna happen. Can't give up this guy.
You're gonna like the way the outfield looks.
Yeah. I guarantee it. Well done, Marsh. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. We're going to play NFL Overhyped or Underhyped next on 101 ESPN. Bears fans, don't listen.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cards lose to the Rockies yesterday by a final score of 1-0. The Rockies took 2 of 3 against the Cards this weekend, and the Redbirds will be in action tomorrow, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Miles Michaelis on the mound, going up against Zach Eflin. 5:40 first pitch. If you've missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the 101 mobile app. You can find the full show there. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We have our NFL Overhyped or Underhyped coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
All right, let's play NFL Overhyped or Underhyped. Pretty easy concept. Is this team or this player overhyped or underhyped? And by the way, the Air Comfort Service tax line is 314-399-9646. We have our Sports Six-Pack coming up in 10 minutes or so, so we'll get those questions in now. We've also got the YouTube channel going at 101 ESPN STL, so if you got a question for us there, you can always leave one in the comments section. But all right, guys, overhyped, underhyped, and I wanted to start off with a guy that is drawing a lot of praise. He's even getting some votes for MVP this year. Justin Fields. Overhyped, underhyped?
Oh, clearly underhyped. This guy's going to have a monster season, Anthony. With the tools this young man has, the way he can scramble, the way he can run, the arm that he has, now that he's got a team around him, maybe a coach, sky's the limit for this guy. Completely underhyped.
Okay.
I'm going to say what Jamie said, except for I'm not going to be sarcastic. I'm going to say overhyped. He is completely overhyped. I understand where people are comparing him to what Jalen Hurts was last year, and he had those tendencies towards the end of the year. We saw a lot of what Jalen Hurts did in his, not last year, but the year before that, towards the back half of the season, the way he used his legs. A lot of fantasy football owners were getting excited about wanting to draft Jalen Hurts this past year because of what he could do with his legs, and now Justin Fields is garnering that same type of attention. I don't trust the organization. Mm-hmm. I don't trust the Bears organization.
What?
I don't trust their offensive line. I know they got, some weapons around him now, but let's just see how he fares. I think there's a lot of hype that is thrown his way. I'm not saying he's going to have a bad year, but for the amount of hype that has been circulating around Justin Fields, I think he's way overhyped.
I actually, and I agree with you. I think he's being overhyped, and it's less about Justin Fields and everything that you just talked about, Marsh. I mean, first of all, he hasn't done anything in the passing game. We could talk about, hey, he's improved. He's got, he's getting the ball out. I read a quote. He's getting the ball out quicker. Okay, he's doing it in practice. That's a step. He's got to do it in practice in order to do it in the games. But games and practice are a completely different story. Ask Allen Iverson. Rhythm and timing. He's got better rhythm and timing right now in the offense. He understands the playbook more. Okay, that's great. He's got to show it. The biggest thing that we've done to Jalen Hurts, not we here in the fast lane, but we as media and we as fans, that we've done to Justin Fields, is compare him to Jalen Hurts.
What?
Jalen Hurts coming into last year was the biggest question mark, to hold the Eagles back. We all love the Eagles. Man, they got great receivers. They got good defense. They got good offensive line. They got a running game.
You had to really hit on Jalen Hurts and be a big believer of him to make yourself look smart.
Right. So what Jalen Hurts did last year at the Eagles, is that what you did,
I drafted him in fantasy football.
No, you're a genius. Marshy Pants is a genius. But so last year, because we undersold Jalen Hurts so much, we're almost overselling Justin Fields. The Bears' offensive line, I think, is going to be improved. Even an improved Bears' offensive line is going to be average because they were horrendous a year ago. So if you have an improved offensive line that's 16th as opposed to 32, that's good. Still not the Eagles, who have the number one offensive line in football. Getting DJ Moore and Chase Claypool does not equate to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. The Bears' defense is not the Eagles' defense. Jalen Hurts had a lot going on, and he had this big season. So I think we're overhyping Justin Fields, making all of these assumptions. Bears' offensive line improved. They're not going to be number one. The Bears' weapons around Justin Fields improved. Not to what Jalen Hurts had. And Justin Fields has not shown yet that he can be a passer. The running is great. But even in games the Bears were trailing last year, he kept the ball on the ground or allowed him to run. He's going to have to take a significant step to be an MVP. I just think we've overhyped this kid. All right, moving on. Jamie's Detroit Lions.
Angry.
Overhyped or underhyped? Just definitive. In my thoughts. I could be wrong, but...
Well, this is a tough one, right? Because everybody's pretty high on the Lions, but I don't think they're so high that they're like, hey, they're Super Bowl contenders. So it's tough to say overhyped or underhyped. If you say underhyped, then you'd be like, oh, what do you, come on, they didn't even make the play. Long it's been since they've made the playoffs. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, they're going to be awesome. They're not going to be that great. So it's a tough one, but clearly underhyped. I mean, come on. This team is going to be really good.
Let's establish the hype then with the Lions. The hype with the Lions is that they're going to win the NFC North.
Mm-hmm. They will. No, hands down. It's not even going to be close. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Therefore, I think it's overhyped. What Jamie just said, I think they're being overhyped. Not that they can't win the NFC North, but there's going to be a bloodbath. And I know you're playing it up a little bit, Jamie, but I think some people think that way. I think a lot of people think, the Vikings are going to take a big step back. The Packers are going to be awful this year. Justin Fields is going to win the MVP, but the Bears aren't going to be good enough. I think the Lions, who have a bottom five defense, still have a long way to go despite what they showed last year. They're not going to sneak up on teams either.
Whatever.
Okay.
I'm saying slightly overhyped for a reason you just mentioned. Their defense is still...
Oh, because they're in the Vikings division. Here we go. Go ahead.
No, I think the reason I say slightly is because I think if this was one of the prompts, if it was overhyped, underhyped, or hyped just right, let's say hyped just right. I think they're hyped just right. They were a good team last year. They're a good team. They're a solid team. Can they win this division? Absolutely. They have really good weapons. Their offense is scary. It can be scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
However, again, this organization, for some reason, they can't get to where they want to be on a consistent basis. They had Matt Stafford for all those years, who now has a Super Bowl the year he leaves this organization.
He was the problem. He was dogging it.
But this division in itself is sort of a question mark, in my opinion. I still think it is a question mark, but I think the Lions are hyped just right. I don't want them to win. Why would I want them to win? But I think they're hyped just right. They got a good team.
Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Jamie, I feel like
completely overhyped.
You and I are lockstep here.
Completely overhyped. I mean, I don't see them running away with it like everybody's talking. I don't see them being that unbelievable team. Are they a better team than they were before? Yes. I think that's obvious. But are they going to just dominate? I don't think so. This, for me, is overhyped. And if I'm wrong, I mean, I'll eat crow at some point. But I don't think I'm wrong with this one.
I don't either. I think the front seven is good, not great. I think the offensive line is not. I mean, it's mediocre at best. I think that Aaron Rodgers. I've established this before, and I don't even think the Jets' offensive line is mediocre. By the way, I think Aaron Rodgers is coming off a worse year than people want to admit. I think the receiving core took a lot of the heat last year. Matt LaFleur took a lot of the heat last year. The bottom line is he had a really good two-back system. That offensive line is top 10 in Green Bay. It's bottom 10 with the Jets. And Matt LaFleur, I don't think is the idiot that a lot of people think he is. I think Aaron Rodgers played a big role in the Packers' demise a year ago, and we're just ignoring all that because he puts on a pretty good campaign. And now it's like the lovable Aaron Rodgers is here. Look, he's a good teammate and all this. I think they're overhyped. I think the Jets are overhyped, and I think they're that bubble. I'd be willing to make the argument that the Jets bubble is going to burst before the Lions do.
Wow.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm going to say underhyped just because they're in New York. I feel like with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets name alone, I feel like a lot of people up in Bristol could be saying that this could be a Super Bowl contending team. I don't know if I've heard Super Bowl team. I've heard playoff team.
Yeah.
This is a playoff team. This could be a fun team to watch. They have a lot of young players. You still have the defense as well. We always want to think, Aaron Rodgers, but they got Sauce Gardner, who was one of the best defensive players last year in the league. So if they can take that extra step, get to where they want to be defensively, I think that could end up being very good for this team. And I think they could end up being one of those teams that makes a deep run in the playoffs.
There you have it. We have some other names and teams on this list, but we will do this again at some point. But we got our Sports Six-Pack coming up. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. So if you got a question for us for the Sports Six-Pack, send it in, and we'll do that next in the Fast Lane.
At Johnny Londoff Chevrolet, buying a car is always more than just a price tag. From the moment you walk onto the showroom floor till you drive off the lot in your new or pre-owned vehicle, the Londoff Chevrolet team, they're going to treat you like family. And I'll tell you this, the Londoff Chevrolet team goal is not just to sell you a car, but to make you a Londoff Chevrolet customer for life. That's right, for life. I've been a customer for over 20 years now, a friend of the family, and they are fantastic over at Londoff Chevrolet. I tell you what, Johnny Londoff Chevrolet is home to one of the greatest lineups of vehicles in the history of Chevrolet. They've got 2 lots now, too. So double the inventory, whether it's new or pre-owned vehicles. You got the Londoff Autoplex now out in St. Peter's. Awesome facility out there. State-of-the-art service area. And the original located in Florissant, Missouri. Please walk into either of those locations. Tell them that Jamie Rivers sent you in. And that's where you're going to see that the customer service is fantastic. Again, they're going to treat you like family at Londoff Chevrolet. Get in there and see them today or get there online. Visit londoff.com or londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Johnny Londoff Chevrolet. question. It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is refreshed by Maggie O'Brien's, your go-to Irish pub in St. Louis for over 42 years.
It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Marsh with a dynamite line in the break here. Wish we could share with you. Sorry. Sports Six-Pack time. Aircraft and Service Tax Lines 314-399-9646. What do you got, Marsh?
Question number 1.
All right, guys. From the 314, if Torrey Krug has a strong year, 50-plus points, plus 25 in the plus-minus department, do you still trade him? Isn't he worth the money?
Yeah, if he's playing like that and your team is successful. So here's the way it has to work for me. Is Torrey Krug getting, 40 to 50 points would be fantastic. Anything more than that would be gravy. Your power play, to me, has to be ranked somewhere in the top 10 in the NHL. And is plus 25. I mean, sure, we'll take that. I mean, I think it's a skewed stat anyways, but certainly gives us an indication that he's on the ice for more goals scored for his team than against him. But I think the true tell will be if the team defensively can play better. Because if Torrey Krug does all of that stuff correctly, but then your team is still, out of the playoffs and giving up all sorts of opportunities defensively, you have to look somewhere, and
sure.
Which means you're going to have to cut salary because you got to go acquire a top-notch defenseman out there, and that's not going to be cheap. And if he has a season like that, it won't be difficult to find someone to answer the phone on the other end. And it'll just be a situation to where your team needs to address a problem, and there'll be somebody out there that is trying to address their power play at the same time. And a lot of this, too, will depend on the emergence of Scott Perunovich. What does he contribute this year? How much of a role is he with the team? If he jumps on the scene and can't handle everyday duties, then you really can't move Torrey Krug. You just can't. You don't have anybody else that is a true power play quarterback. You have the guys that play well in the power play, but not true power play quarterbacks. So I think all those elements there will determine whether or not the Blues end up moving on from Torrey Krug.
Question number 2.
From the 314, hey guys, did you see where the Dodgers are getting ready to sign the best pitcher in Korea? Where are the cards right now regarding a pitcher like that?
Well, I mean, you got Miles Michaelis and you signed Drew Verhagen. So, I think that the international market has been something that the Cardinals have failed to deliver on outside of Miles Michaelis. I mean, you think about the Braves and the international, players that they have signed, or the White Sox with Luis Robert, who the Cardinals passed up on. I think the international market has been an area that, whether it's from free agency or, using the international market to beef up their farm system, I think that's been a huge problem. So, I can't speak to what they use to judge those players or base their evaluations. I don't know, but I do know that the international pool of players has not been promising for the Cardinals, like it has for other teams.
Question number 3.
From the 636, what's your go-to food and drink at sporting games? Does it depend on which sport you're watching, like hot dog at a baseball game and nachos at a hockey game?
I don't really watch a lot of hockey games.
Yeah, you're always working
them, so
it's whatever's available.
Yeah, and it's usually beforehand, so it's not like I'm, digging into the concession stands and whatnot. But baseball with the Cardinals,
hot dog.
I always, no matter what, even if I don't feel like it, I always get a hot dog.
Yeah.
And it's just because I associate baseball with ballpark dogs and beer. I mean, it's a must. And then if halfway through the game I'm still looking for, a little more food, I'll go with the ballpark nachos.
Yeah,
I do.
You do like those nachos, I feel.
Like the nachos.
Anthony actually gets the kind with the helmet so he can put it on after.
I'm a real ballpark player. Look at me.
It's a sweet helmet.
Cheese dripping down.
So now I haven't dove into
dribbling down your chin.
Yeah, I can play now.
Well said, Marshy. But I say this, that some of the concession stands have some great stuff out there. A lot of the times when I'm walking by, like the really good stuff, the line is so friggin' long. And I'm like, I'll get a hot dog. I'll get the nachos.
Yeah.
So I know like the, was it the Shake Shack or whatever, the Shack?
Yeah, Shake Shack.
They have a spot at Enterprise. I don't know if they do at Busch Stadium.
I don't think I've seen that.
I don't know. I've only gone a few times this year.
I know it's popular, so.
Hot dog for sure, beer at a baseball game. I also, and my daughter Madeline, I think is the only other one in my family that really appreciates them, but Dippin' Dots.
Oh, Dippin' Dots.
A little bit later on in the game.
Yeah.
All right, you got your dog, you got your beer. But I'm a big Dippin' Dots fan at the ballpark.
Dippin' Dots, please.
Like I said, the Dippin' Dots come like 8th inning, all right? So you've had your beer, you have your dogs, and then you got a separation
into the Dippin' Dots.
You got a separation and then the Dippin' Dots. All right.
Could you
my daughter's I've realized she's like, can we go to the ball game? I'm like, yeah, we want to go see some baseball? Yeah, I want the Dippin' Dots. Oh, okay. All right. So you want the Dippin' Dots.
And she's like, look at Mommy. Dad's having another Budweiser.
Yeah.
Let's wait one more inning and we'll hit him up for Dippin' Dots.
Absolutely. She doesn't even have to do that. I'll get him some Dippin' Dots.
Could you guys eat some of that cotton candy that they sell? At what point, at what age were you like, this stuff sucks?
Yeah, no. I'm out.
You bite your tongue.
You could eat cotton candy right now without.
No.
There's no way. I know you can't.
Being on the IL for 10 days.
You usually don't eat sweets because of your teeth situation. Or ice cream, is it?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Ice cream.
Jesus, Anthony.
Well, you've said that. You've brought that to the airwaves. You said I can't eat ice cream.
Too cold.
It's too cold on my teeth.
It's my teeth. It's correct. There's problems everywhere. That's why alligator. I got all them teeth. So man, I ain't got no toothbrush.
Mama said. But at hockey games, the Blues usually have they got like a stir fry station that I really like.
They got a lot of really good stuff at Enterprise. They've done a good job of providing options.
Hell, they have a Lion's Choice there.
Yeah.
I just went to Lion's Choice the other day.
Did you?
First time in a while.
Good job, son. Well done.
Thanks, Jamie.
You're welcome.
Go for it.
Question number 4.
From the 314, guys, you were talking earlier about the statements that Eli Drinkwitz made about conference realignment. Do you guys think that the statement will help him in recruiting, seeing that the University of Missouri is not only an SEC school, but is in the middle of the country, and it takes no more than 3.5 hours flight to get to anywhere in the country? That could be a strategy he plays in recruiting.
I think it's a really good thought, and it's something I didn't think about. He's trying to recruit. Maybe he's using it as a recruiting trip. Like, hey, yeah, you're Oregon now. You're Oregon. You got to go all the way across to play Rutgers, or whatever. Just go to Mizzou, and you only have to travel to SEC schools. That's an interesting thought for that.
Yeah.
Will it help him improve? I think Eli Drinkwitz has done a pretty good job recruiting. I don't think that the execution has been there. I like Drink. I thought it was a really good hire. I've not seen what he brought to the table from an offensive standpoint at Appalachian State. I've not seen that in Mizzou at all. And I realize before somebody says it that the competition is steeper. I'm talking about the offensive design.
Way steeper.
I don't like the offensive design. I don't like that they just flat out ignored Burden for half the season last year.
Yeah, that's weird.
I like watching Mizzou's offense last year was incredibly frustrating. Now, part of that's the offensive line. Your offense at times is only going to be as good as your offensive line. You can't get to a 5-step or 7-step drop and push the ball downfield when your quarterback's looking at his ear hole constantly. I get that, but isn't that part of recruiting? To build an offensive line for your QB? So I think Eli has done an okay job recruiting. were those comments specifically directed at recruits? I think every comment that he makes should be somehow tied to recruiting.
Well, yes, what he says and how he says it, he's definitely plays a character. That seems like a very likable guy, and like the guy. Oh gosh, golly gee, you know.
He had us recruit. I mean, we signed. We signed with Mizzou.
Walk-ons.
Anthony was actually part of the defense that everyone keeps hyping up.
I was. Yeah.
Anthony's out of eligibility. I still got.
Am I though?
Still got 4 years. I don't know.
If you didn't play,
actually, Anthony and Brandon Whedon are still playing college football.
Yeah. Brandon Whedon, 41 years old. Brandon Whedon.
We should go play college football next year.
We should. We should play from the zoo, Jamie.
We could.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably get our ass kicked.
Question number 5.
I thought this was a good idea.
I'll get a question from the 314. 314 wants to know who is practicing. Who's practicing their golf swing over Rivers' shoulder? There's no one there anymore. It was Jackson.
Oh, it was Jack.
He was just in there, just swinging away.
Was he?
Listening to the show, just
That's
practicing
funny.
his swing.
Yeah, forget people can see behind you, Jamie.
Yeah, but kind of.
Kind of.
This thing here, I don't know. I don't like this.
Action Jackson.
I used to like to be able to stare at Mike Ryder and bug him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Can't see anything.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do for our Sports Six Pack.
We have one more if we want to get to it.
Yeah, well, that's good. Why the hell not?
Question number 6.
All right. From the 314, what do you think about Anthony's Sharks trading Carlson?
Bad move. I think the Sharks are going to stink next year.
They're going to stink anyways, Anthony.
It's kind of the joke.
I know that hurts, but
not really.
This was a good move by the Sharks. I mean, why would you have a 100-point defenseman on a team that's just not going to do anything?
Yeah.
And I thought the 3-team trade worked out good for all parties involved. I think Montreal made out great in it. I thought the San Jose Sharks did very good. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, I mean, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got Crosby, I believe, who turned 36 years old today. Malkin is 37. Carlson's getting up there. Chris Letang is getting up there. Your core group of guys are aging veterans with very little runway left.
Sure.
So this could either be one of the greatest moves ever to kind of rejuvenate a team. In Pittsburgh, that is, or it could be viewed as one of the biggest mistakes ever, and all of these high-priced players will be going down with the ship.
Good call. All right, that's your Sports Six Pack. What's trending's next?
What's trending in the world of sports? The Fast Lane has you covered. What's trending now?
Brought to you by Goodwill. Donate to Goodwill and get a half-price Cardinals ticket voucher.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Anthony Stalter, Jamie Rivers, I'm Andrew Marsh, and it's time for What's Trending. Jamie, you specifically asked me in the office to make sure we talk about this today. We did bring it up earlier in the show. However, MLB did issue the following suspensions after Saturday's brawl in Cleveland. Tim Anderson, who was a part of the brawl with Jose Ramirez.
He participated.
He was standing
His
there.
face participated.
He gets 6 games. Jose Ramirez gets 3 games. Emmanuel Clase, Pedro Grifol, Terry Francona, and Mike Sarbaugh all get 1 game. This was the call for those that did not see what happened. The call between the White Sox and the Cleveland Guardians in the melee that ensued.
What do you got, Marsh?
Head first slide, safe and in to score is Jimenez. And another hustle double. Right over the bag at first. Now Hosey and Anderson square off. They're fighting. They're swinging. Down goes Anderson. Down goes Anderson. Hosey never gets upset about anything. They came up chewing. Anderson squared off. Hosey decked him. And Tim Anderson was on the wrong side of that punch.
I was so happy to see a punch thrown in a baseball fight. Finally. Like, it's been a while since we've had an actual punch, like, thrown with, like, malicious intent and then something that lands. Now, Tim Anderson, you know, I'm seriously injured, but he's kissing the grass there on just a wild overhand right by Ramirez. He wasn't even looking.
He wasn't looking.
He just swung for an area.
Oh, yeah.
And he happened to catch him on the
down.
button.
Yeah. He was just... Right. Anderson walked into it.
Oh, yeah. But I'll go back to this again. My favorite part was the umpire who just stepped back and was like, all right, go.
Touch gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Anderson rips off the glove and he's like, here we go. And
well, good for the umpire. You two want to fight? I'm not going to step in and then get one to the side of the temple here. Go for it.
Yeah, and if they do really want to fight, they will.
Yeah.
And if not, then they'll just kind of push and shove, and the bullpens will empty, and, whatever.
You two idiots want to throw fisticuffs there? Go for it. I'm not going to take one to the side of the dome.
Apparently, though, apparently Anderson's not all that great of a dude.
Well, yeah.
From what I understand, because there was a story that was out. I was trying to find it again.
Was it about Yasmani Grandal?
Yeah, where he said, I'll buy his freaking plane ticket.
Yeah,
and he walked over and popped him one. He hit Tim Anderson, slapped him in the mouth.
Yeah, Yasmani Grandal wanted to leave the day before the All-Star break because he was not in the lineup. Tim Anderson, and paraphrased, blank him, fluid him. If he doesn't want to be here, I'll pay for his flight. Grandal walked over to Anderson and slapped him in the face. So this guy just keeps getting hit in the face.
If you go back, if you listen to the announcer there, he's like, Ramirez doesn't get upset about anything. And then, so there's something to this Anderson guy that makes you want to punch him in the face.
Well, then I think Ramirez also said too that he doesn't like the way Anderson plays the game. He disrespects the game and things like that. Anderson, there's been some stuff off the field as well involving maybe some decisions he's made in his personal life, things like that.
What kind of decisions, Anthony?
Yeah, you read about it.
Like
Goggle has it
right after eating.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's doing that?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you're supposed to wait 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's a myth, by the way.
That is a myth. It's a total myth.
Is it really?
Yeah. And why though? Why would the parents do that back in the day?
They were drinking and they wanted to sit there and drink and not have to watch the kids swim. They need a little buffer there. That's my story.
I don't think. Yeah, that doesn't.
Or is it Adult Swim? Or is that completely different?
Oh, that would make more sense. It's like, hey, Adult Swim time. Hey, guys, you just ate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Wait 40 minutes so we can get in the damn pool. Not have you splash around.
bothering us and stuff.
Yeah.
Sit there and watch us swim.
It is a pool, It's for adults. Yeah.
Let's have a swim. All right, guys, the Blues are set to premiere Anatomy of the Draft tonight, which will be presented by Stiefel exclusively on the Blues YouTube channel tonight at 7 o'clock. The feature will give Blues fans first ever behind-the-scenes look as a team prepared for and executed the 2023 NHL entry draft.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Pretty cool.
I love all the behind the scenes stuff. I watch so many of those things that are on Netflix or wherever they're at, and so now to have a team that we're so close to and that we watched last year not go well for the Blues, and then we had so many discussions revolving around, will Army keep the 3 picks? Will he trade up? Will he trade down? Will he trade for a player? I'm anxious to see how all those decisions went down.
Yeah.
Now, at what point was it solidified that they're picking 3 players? And was it ever a guarantee that they were picking Dvorsky or
Sure.
It's always cool. I don't know. I enjoy those things.
Yeah. I think the behind the scenes look at that, what they're looking at, how they watch the draft unfold, and hoping for maybe a certain play to fall. I find that to be fascinating as well. I always enjoy that from the NFL standpoint. So I'm sure the Blues will do a great job with this as well.
All right, the next thing here in What's Trending, I just talking with Marshy here real quick, but I don't know if you saw that the Orioles have suspended their announcer indefinitely. Here's the basically the essence of it is Oriole announcer Kevin Brown has been indefinitely suspended for these comments on Baltimore's recent record against the Rays. So you're probably thinking to yourself, it must be something horrible.
Yeah.
Like, what did this guy do? Did he drop an F-bomb on the air? Did he personally attack somebody? Suspended indefinitely, right? No. All he did was outline the Orioles' record against the Tampa Bay Rays. In the last 16 series, they're 0-15-1. The last series win was in 2017. This season, 3 wins in 5 games. He outlined the history, basically, of these two teams.
And the Orioles got sensitive to it?
They portrayed it as negative talk against the team and suspended him indefinitely.
They should be ashamed.
Let me ask you guys a question, okay?
They should be absolutely ashamed.
Having done some television work and having, the team play very well, winning a Stanley Cup, and the team playing not so well last year, which was a difficult ride for everyone, especially people who are bringing the game to you. Geez, as a fan, as a listener, as a spectator, do you prefer your analyst or your announcer to be honest or just absolutely fluff everything?
I want him to be honest.
Because what if you're watching tonight or you're getting ready for this series and you're a new Orioles fan because they're playing so well, they've got some young, exciting talent. You don't really know much about them. You're tuning in for the game, and you don't have anything, have any idea what the lay of the land is against the Rays. Well, it'd be nice to know, like, if the Orioles win tonight, that's a big win, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise, you'd be like, I don't get it. Why is it a big win? Well, this guy's telling you why.
Right.
They have not played well against the Tampa Bay Rays, especially down in Tampa at Tropicana Field. And so, I don't know. I cannot believe that they let this happen, and I'm anxious to see how long he gets suspended because they should be taking a beating in the public eye.
They should be taken to the woodshed for this. And you know what? Shame on the Orioles who have had a really positive year to draw something negative like this. I think that this is ridiculous, stupid. Reminds me of the time when Randy Carricker and I were on air for the Rams pregame show. And we had like a question of the day. And it was, imagine this, the Rams were not having a good year. And Randy and I were doing the show, and the Rams were in Arizona. And at the time, the Arizona Cardinals had, their head coach was Bruce.
Bruce Arians.
Bruce Arians, thank you. So Bruce Arians was in Arizona, and Pete Carroll was still in Seattle, and the Rams had Fisher. And the 49ers, I believe at the time, had Harbaugh?
That would be correct.
So it was that era. So the question was, who's the best coach in the NFC West? And Randy and I, it was like the big debate or biggest question during the whatever. So we answered, and we all came up, we had our answers, whatever, and we didn't choose Jeff Fisher. I didn't even think Jeff Fisher was an option, really.
Why would he be?
Right. The Rams were listening, and the Rams complained to our program director, who was Hoss Newport at the time. Rang him out, and Hoss was on the trip with them. Couldn't believe that Randy and I would do a question like that. Who's the best coach in the NFC West, and not at least talk about Fisher and this, that, and the other. And the Rams were incredibly upset.
Here's the thing about that, though, is if you say Jeff Fisher, your audience knows that
Randy
you're either
and I are
lying,
full of crap.
Your credibility
or your
is
credibility
shot.
goes way out the window.
Absolutely.
Totally. And like, this is the thing. And at that time, the Rams weren't playing well. So how could you pick Jeff Fisher? This is what's so odd about the Orioles situation is their team is battling for their division. They came out of relative obscurity. They had a good little bounce back last year.
Great season.
What the hell are you doing? Why not just pull the guy in after and say, hey, look, we didn't like this. That's one. I wouldn't even address it.
It was a fact, though.
I wouldn't even address it. It was numbers.
Yeah.
It wasn't even his opinion.
Right.
It was.
Is he not supposed? So next time, is he not? When Gunnar Henderson goes into an 0 for 15 slump, is he not supposed to mention it?
Apparently not. Your job's at risk if you talk anything negative about the Orioles, even though you've only had a decade of negative to talk about.
The media. Let me outline this too. The media is not cheerleaders. You hire cheerleaders to cheer for your team, right? You hire maybe a band sometimes to, do your halftime show for your team
and run on the field.
Man's on the field. Media is not. We're not cheering for your team at all. Even the people like we're the Blues. We're the Blues radio network. Okay. Last year, as long as we're not personal about it, we don't take personal shots. I think the Blues are fine with the coverage, and they get it. The Orioles are having a good year. Why would you do that? Why would you show any sort of negative, shine any sort of negative attention on that?
And this guy's not even like an analyst.
I hope they get crushed.
He's a host. Like, he's kind of the guy who sets the table.
Yeah.
To just, here's the information. I have no emotion attached to this. It's just, this is the information.
Well, there's a lot of people that are behind the scenes that work on those scripts.
Right. Somebody probably handed it to them.
They have different lower thirds and all this other stuff.
They build the graphics.
They build
I
graphics.
can tell you
the graphics, if anything, the graphics were probably the most quote unquote disturbing part of this whole entire thing.
That process starts in the morning. I can tell you this.
Yeah.
The crew gets together, you talk about ideas, then you get with the host, you get with the producer, the director, the graphics team, you get the analytics people that make sure that they're confirming all this. So this is like, if that's the case, there's probably about 15 people that should be suspended indefinitely.
Right. Not
including the damn cameraman who filmed it. He should have shut it off.
We get a text from Thanks, Dad. That guy doesn't have elite spin rate like BT.
No.
Good call on that. It's a Fast Line on 101 ESPN. Free agent pitching in review here. We're gonna look at some of the free agent pitchers that, at least the pitchers that were free agents at the start of the year, and talk about how they have done thus far and kind of spin it forward. Whether or not the Cardinals can fix things in a hurry based on free agency and what we learned this year. That's next on 101 ESPN.
Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter back with you here. And fellas, I want you to listen up. If you're driving around right now or listening to your radio and you're feeling tired, this day has just been too much for you. Every day feels like it's too much. You're irritable. You're not sleeping well at night. It's tough to keep your energy up with the kids. You are probably suffering from low testosterone. Get over to Mentality and get checked out. The board-certified physicians are going to sit down with you and discuss everything that you're feeling. They're going to ask you questions on top of that. Then they're going to do a full blood panel, and you'll get your results. And I can promise you this, you're going to feel so much better once you do it.
Well, Jamie, it's kind of like going to the doctors, too. If you don't feel well and you haven't felt well in a while, why not go get yourself checked out? And like you said, if you're feeling down, you're feeling like you can't do all the things that you did beforehand, and you're just stressed, you're irritable, you're ticked off all the time, you're throwing stuff around. Okay, go get yourself checked out. And they do such a great job too. They got 2 different locations, West County and South County. And when it comes to your health, I mean, don't you want to put that first? And when you start feeling better, you start working out, you start, you go home, you feel you're in a better mood. Everybody's impacted by that. So stop hiding behind you're ticked off and I'm just getting older and this and that. Don't settle. Stop settling and go see our friends.
Look good, feel good, play good. That's always the motto. And most insurance companies cover this, so no excuses with that. Again, get in there, tell them that Anthony and Jamie sent you in. But if not, visit them online at lowtusa.com. That's mentality at lowtusa.com.
Well, we all know the Cardinals are going to have to be very active in free agency. Will they be? We don't know, but they better be when it comes to.
Sound very promising.
Well, we don't know, Jamie.
You know what? You could get suspended indefinitely for saying crap like that.
I'm sure we could be suspended for the things that we said this year. Probably already would have been.
Yep.
Yeah. So with free agency being something the Cardinals are going to have to be active in when it comes to, repairing their starting rotation, we thought it'd be interesting to go back and look at the free agent pitchers that were available this past offseason. And let's not do the thing where it's like, well, the Cardinals should have signed this guy and they should have signed that. Let's use it as an exercise to say, how quickly, if you make the right decisions, can you rebuild a starting rotation through free agency? Okay, so this isn't a they should have signed this guy, they should have signed that guy conversation. All right. The Cardinals are going to have Miles Michaelis, and by the way, Steven Matz, again, another masterful performance over the weekend. So nice job, Steven Matz.
He looks great.
Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Looks
Holy smokes.
great.
All right, you look completely different.
I told you about this guy,
You
Anthony.
totally did, Jamie. I should have listened to you.
$44 million, he's underpaid.
Underpaid. They should sign him to an extension now.
Immediately.
Miles Michaelis and Steven Matz are going to be in rotation. You need 3 more spots to occupy. All right. So, Jamie.
Yeah.
Here's some of the free agents that were available this past offseason. Carlos Rodon.
Should have signed. Anthony's going to kill me.
He's hurt again. He's hurt again.
He wouldn't have been hurt here.
2 awful starts, 1 good one. That's been Carlos Rodon. So a massive free agent bust thus far for the Yankees and Carlos Rodon. Jacob deGrom, your guy.
Should have signed him too.
Hurt most of the year. So far, not great when you're looking at some free agent pitchers. Jose Quintana. A lot of people wanted to see the Cardinals bring back Jose Quintana. I think he's only made like 3 or 4 starts.
Yeah, he's been hurt
for the Mets. He's mostly been hurt. Nathan Eovaldi's been pretty good for the Rangers. Justin Verlander was very good for the Mets. Obviously now with the Astros.
Oof.
Martin Perez was brought back by the Rangers. He has not been good. I think he's going to move out of the starting rotation now that the Rangers have brought in Jordan Montgomery and Max Scherzer. Taijuan Walker's been okay for the Phillies. Zach Eflin has been great for the Rays. He signed a 3-year deal. Ross Stripling has not been good for the Giants. Michael Walker has been good for the Padres. Drew Smyly has not been good for the Cubs. Looking through some other guys here. Let's see here. Mike Clevenger's been okay for the White Sox when he has pitched. Kodai Senga has been good for the Mets. He was an international signing. That's kind of it when you look at it. Oh, Jameson Taillon's been okay for the Cubs. So overall, Jamie, Chris Bassett okay for the Blue Jays. Overall, not great, really, when you look at it. The high price guys, Scherzer and Verlander, Rodon, two of them have been good, although Max Scherzer hasn't been what we're accustomed to. Then everybody else kind of in that mid-range has just been okay. So I wonder if when we look at the upcoming free agency for the Cardinals, if you don't get one of the top guys and you're kind of looking at that middle ground, the expectation should probably be better than average and improved from a year ago based on what we're looking at with this list. In other words, I think you can rebuild the starting rotation fairly quickly. You're going to need one of these young guys to pop in one of those other spots. And you're going to need Miles Michaelis to be the good version of Miles Michaelis and Steven Matz to continue what he's been doing over his last 4 or 5 starts.
I say we go get Nola and Snell. That's the bottom line.
I think you're wrong.
I don't.
And they should get Ohtani.
Well, you know what, Anthony? You're right. They should.
I think they should get Ohtani.
It's in Cardinals fashion, right? They're not going to go for the top shelf.
Yeah.
They go somewhere in the underneath. So Nola and Snell, technically this year, are that next tier.
I like what you did there.
So I'm hoping that that's the way the Cardinals look at it.
Jamie, the only problem is I still think Nola and Snell are on the top shelf.
Oh, no.
Ohtani is
well behind him.
Ohtani is like when you kind of know the owner, gotten to know the owner, you're like, hey, the stuff in the back, like that's Ohtani.
Stuff in the back.
Yeah, like the really like good stuff that they don't even put on the shelf. That's Ohtani.
What store?
You know what store?
That makes a difference because I may not care what's in back.
Well, true. When you really like the store, then you're asking the owner, hey, some of this stuff in the back.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
You know.
Right. So Snell and Nola are still on the top.
People.
Exactly.
Randall's, you hear me.
Other than that, I mean, you're going to have to be active in free agency, but I mean, this list isn't overly inspiring.
What about the international players? Do you see the Cards diving into the international players at all?
They haven't been in the past. Outside of Michaelis, I think they should expand their international market. Yes. I think that when you look at other teams and you're like, oh, he was like the Braves. Look at the Braves. Bunch of international players. Cardinals have chosen to go mostly in the draft and, bargain bin free agents or mid-shelf free agents. I think the international market is largely untapped for the Cardinals.
They certainly haven't utilized it to their advantage.
No, I don't think so.
Overall. I mean, who was the last international signing
that worked out as Michaelis?
Okay, I guess so. Yeah, I'm talking about like somebody that may be completely off the North American radar. I don't know if Miles Michaelis was completely unknown. I'm talking about an international player.
Yeah, none.
So that's a problem.
Aledmus Diaz.
Okay.
Well, what about KK was pretty good for a little bit.
He wasn't bad. Actually.
Yeah, for 2 years. I mean, for 2 years.
I'd take him right now.
Yeah.
Like the way he was then. Mm-hmm. I'd take him. That'd be fine.
Sure.
For 2 years, be great. To get you, it would bridge the gap for you.
Yeah.
He's the number 3-ish, 2 on a good day. I'd do that. So let's find that guy. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be the next Ronald Acuna. Doesn't have to be doesn't have to be any of those guys.
Yeah. Well, that's what the Mets did with Senga.
I mean, it just.
No, I'd like to have.
How about you find talent? Yeah, I don't care. I don't care what it. Free agency, the draft, international market. Go for it.
3 people in this room
that can pitch.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll all be below hitting speed. So
absolutely.
I'll just pitch at guys.
That's not going to be effective. You're going to wear out.
It'll be effective.
You're going to wear out your bullpen, probably.
Yeah, they'll be ready for it though.
Biggest question of the day next on 101 ESPN.
Our guy, Ron, the Wizard of Comfort over at Swiss Air Heating and Cooling. He's at it again, Anthony. He's always coming up with amazing programs for all their customers. And the one that I love is the Magic Tune. For $69, you get a 29-point cooling system check to ensure that your cooling system doesn't break down in the STL heat. We've been there. Yeah. I've been there. It gets so hot. If I would have just maintained things, Anthony, for $69, I could have been just fine. But that's okay. Ron, the Wizard of Comfort, he still took care of me. But now I've got the Magic Tune going. It's been fantastic.
Well, Jamie, I was mowing the lawn yesterday. I looked over at the unit that Swiss Air put in, and it's running so well. As you know, I had to replace the entire AC and the furnace, and they did a remarkable job. But I noticed one of the side was kind of dirty because look, you got weather, you got all the stuff going on. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use their Magic Tune because I'm going to make sure that the AC is running efficiently throughout the summer months, and I'm going to make sure that the furnace is running efficiently in the winter months. And it saves on wear and tear. It saves you from making service calls. But when it comes to Swiss Air and Ron, the Wizard of Comfort, right now, $35 off any service call. So if you are having issues right now with your AC, and you still got some hot weather coming in St. Louis over the next couple of months, $35 off any service call right now. It's normally $95. So Swiss Air is running a great promotion right now. Ron, the Wizard of Comfort. If you do need a new AC unit, great. They're fantastic. But how about you just maintain it? All because you called Swiss Air.
Yeah, call them at 636-978-7800, 636-978-7800, or visit them at SwissAirSTL.com.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cards lose to the Rockies yesterday by a final score of 1-0. They lost 2 of 3 over the weekend to Colorado as well. Today, they have off, but the Cards are back in action tomorrow, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Miles Michaelis on the mound, going up against Zach Eflin, 5:40 first pitch. If you've missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the 101 mobile app. You can find the full show there. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. And make sure you check out our YouTube page as well, as all of our shows are archived. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's time for the Fast Lane's biggest question of the day.
All right, time for the biggest question of the day. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter. What do you got, Marsh?
All right, we talked about this a little bit earlier in the show, but I wanted to bring it up again just in case anybody missed our conversation. But if Tyler O'Neill continues to produce the way that he has since he's returned from the injured list, is he worth keeping around for another season?
He's worth keeping around if you don't love the return that is being offered to you in the offseason. I mean, I wouldn't just trade him to trade him. I don't think that makes any sense. If you're able to trade him individually and get a return that you like, or if you're able to package him with something else, Jamie, one of these other pitching prospects that you just acquired, or one of your own pitching prospects, and you're able to package him and a pitching prospect to get a cost-controlled young pitcher, yeah, I'm in. I think I would look to move him, but I'm not going to just look to move him and just to do it. You know, like I said before, I don't think you need another double-A catcher for Tyler O'Neill. You know, so that's the way I would view it. I would have the mindset that I would like to move on from Tyler O'Neill. He's only got one more year of cost control. He's been injury-prone, but he's shown enough in flashes to attract another team. If another team is willing to give me what I'm looking for, great. If not, then I'm going to roll with him next year.
If I'm the Cardinals, I'm holding my breath for the rest of the season and hoping for two things. One, for Tyler O'Neill to continue to dominate, to just smash baseballs, to chase down line drives and steal bases and just look like that MVP that he once was. And then I'm absolutely trading him before the bubble bursts. Because you know it's inevitable that injury is right around the corner for Tyler O'Neill. I don't wish that upon him. Trust me, not at all. But you look at his track record, it's inevitable with this player. So you get him to the highest possible value point, and then you deal. And I don't care if you package one of these young arms that you just traded for with Tyler O'Neill, you go get a guy who can play right now. I don't care if the pitcher's 32 years old and has 1 year left at $10 million, let's say. It's a number 3 or 4 or 5 in your rotation. I don't care.
Yeah.
Trade at the highest point with Tyler O'Neill and go get something that will be equal seasons. So Tyler O'Neill has one more season with you of team control or whatever, one more year. Go get somebody who has 1 year on their contract. Who cares? It's a wash at that point. But what it is for the Cardinals is if you can go get a pitcher that can be in your rotation, just in the rotation, it bridges the gap. Because not every one of these young arms that you traded for is ready for the big leagues next year.
Right.
So it buys you another year of development for these guys, either the AAA level or if they bop up and down between the majors and AAA. You get a veteran guy that is serviceable, and that's your one guy that you add as far as your lower level, mid-tier pitcher. And then, of course, you focus on going to sign, somebody that's a higher up, a number one, an ace, or a trade for something, whatever you got to do. But I am not hanging on to Tyler O'Neill past this season. If he can stay healthy for the rest of the year, I'm going to try and take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah, because we all know what happens, right?
It's inevitable.
He has a good year next year.
Yeah, he's gone anyway.
And then you want to sell him or sign him.
Yeah.
The old Paul DeYoung contract?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Or the Matt Carpenter contract?
Carpenter, sure. Not that Tyler O'Neill would get what Matt Carpenter got, but yeah, similar idea.
At least Matt Carpenter was bringing in some produce, some salsa.
He was.
Matt Carpenter was a hell of a player here.
He definitely was.
Let's not.
Yeah, the final years weren't great. But Matt Carpenter, Matt Carpenter was the straw that stirred the drink there for a while for you.
He almost won the MVP in 2018.
Yeah. His 2013
he was great.
Remarkable. Helped you get to the World Series. So
the doubles machine.
That whole team was a doubles machine. This was the year of the doubles for the Cardinals. Worked out very well. All right. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. So we have what you missed, criticisms, compliments, all coming up next. We'll wrap up the show here. And, send you an instant replay coming up next here. But we got, again, what you missed, criticisms, compliments with Andrew Marsh, Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter. That's all coming at you next here in the Fastlane on 101 ESPN. With Jamie Rivers and Anthony Stalter, we called our guy Stewie again today because he's got a great story of a VA loan that you just closed today, Stewie.
You know what? It's just nice to deal with nice veterans, nice people day to day. They were excellent customers, bought a house, veteran, 100% financing, no PMI, great rate, great payment, good people, no closing costs with the bagel loan. In and out, got it done in 3 weeks. This is what it's about. Pay back the veterans, give them the service. And you veterans out there, you have opportunities to buy a house with no money down, no PMI. You can even take 100% cash out to pay off debt or home improvements. Take advantage of the GI Bill that you so well deserve. Take the opportunity today and make it happen.
Stewie's always taking care of everybody, Anthony, but we know he takes special care of our veterans. And so, certainly if you're in the market for a loan, a debt consolidation, you need some help with anything financial, Stewie's your guy. Give him a call at 314-324-4440.
Again, 314-324-4440.
If you missed that number, what can they do?
You can always Google the bagel loan. Thanks, Stewie.
Have a good one, guys.
NMLS number 226715.
miss anything from today's show, you can always download the podcast available at 101ESPN.com or your 101 ESPN mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Talked with BT for the first hour of the show. Some of the things that we covered, Tyler O'Neill, is he worth keeping around this season? Or for next season, based on what he's doing. We also answered that in our biggest question of the day. Where does Zack Thompson fit into the team's long-term plans after what he did yesterday? Do the Cardinals need to add a closer this offseason? And not only do we talk to about this to BT, but we also had this discussion as well. Do the Cardinals know who they are? Do they know who they want to be from an identity standpoint? So that was brought up a couple of times. Played NFL 4 downs and NFL overhyped or underhyped. And we talked about Eli Drinkowitz's comments about, whether or not student athletes were considered at all when it comes to conference realignment. Eli Drinkowitz made some really salient points. We also discussed, though, okay, what do you do next then? What can you do to rectify the problem? So that was all available throughout the show today and here on the podcast. Marsh, you're already laughing, so I know it's going to be a good criticisms and compliments. What do you got, kid?
I'm just going to read the one I'm laughing at. Not really a criticism nor a compliment, but we were talking about the Rams, I guess, and you used to be a part of their broadcast team with Randy, and this texter texted from 314, Anthony, be honest, man. Jeff Fisher was the worst NFL head coach ever, not just the NFC West. There.
Hey, he's 2 yards short of a Super Bowl.
At least tying it, yeah. At least tying it.
Roll, okay? Relax.
He had good teams in Tennessee. He did.
I mean, they literally had to have a miracle in order to get to that Super Bowl.
Yeah. Some say it was an illegal play, too. The Music City Miracle.
Who would say that? Buffalo fans?
Why was Why was it illegal? You're allowed to throw a backwards pass.
Was it backwards?
Optical illusion, maybe?
But yeah, Marsh, good call.
Yeah. From the 314, interesting question. Rivers, did you get out on the river this weekend?
No, I didn't. I would love to have been on the water this weekend. Had a lot of stuff going on. I had a good weekend. Had the great event on Saturday night at Ameristar, the Action for Autism trivia night, Window World, Johnny Londoff, all of our favorite people over there being a part of it. And then Sunday, I cut all the grass, Anthony, and let me tell you about that, okay? Started out, I was like, this is perfect. Kind of rained, but it dried up a little bit, and it was overcast. I was like, this is perfect. It's humid as hell outside right now, but that's okay. We're fine. I get like halfway into it, and the sun comes out. Dude, I was lambasted in sweat. I questioned life decisions at that point, but I couldn't quit. I had to finish the job at this point.
Yeah,
like, no matter what, you got to finish it.
Yeah, you can't leave it half done.
No, you can't. You just leave completely unsatisfied if you just leave it half done.
Absolutely.
So, plowed through that, and
nice job.
Yeah, then last night just kind of kicked back and got ready for another week of Synergy Hockey Camp. So, yeah. That was it. I wish I was on the river. Wish I got to the lake. I love that stuff. I do. I really do.
I mowed the lawn yesterday, too, so I felt your pain, yeah.
What if we were mowing together at the same time?
What time? Around what time did you do it?
Mine was slightly after, like, noon.
That's exactly when I was up.
Get out of here.
Exact
There's
time.
no way.
We were mowing at the same time, Anthony.
I put Lincoln down for a nap.
Same mower, too.
Same mower. Ryobi mower.
Wow. Silent assassin.
Oh, yeah. My neighbor stopped me one time. He's like, that thing's so quiet. Like, yeah, it is.
Silent but deadly.
It is. It's fantastic.
Just cutting grass.
That's darn right. Yeah, but I was
Absolutely.
out same time, Jamie. So I too was drenched in sweat.
Wow, that was fun. No, it wasn't.
Hey, you get a good workout.
I didn't mow the lawn. I don't have a lawn to mow.
I was about to say, do you have a lawn to mow?
No.
Then you should just go around and offer to mow people's lawns for you.
You could.
I could have a horticulture
for free.
Yeah, horticulture business.
Marshy, you go and you talk to some of the nice women in the neighborhood. Just offer to mow their grass, shirtless. I'm sure you'll find somebody that would employ you.
In my neighborhood?
Any neighborhood, really.
I was going to say, they don't have grass either, so it'd be kind of hard.
Power wash the concrete.
Either way, you're helping the community.
Yeah, he's giving back, Anthony.
He is. He really is.
You are some type of influence, Jamie.
Yeah.
Just one of those, who are those people when you're younger, you need like an influence in your
Heroes.
life?
They call
Not
them
a
heroes.
hero.
Mentor.
A mentor.
Yeah.
Jamie Rivers.
Jamie can mentor a lot of people.
The best mentor.
With what he knows.
Marshy, you are my personal project, okay?
Lovely.
You're welcome. What?
No, I agree.
So far, kids doing great things, Anthony.
I believe in both of you.
Thank you.
These people are something else. We did get something from the YouTube page before we have to head out of here. Wanted Jamie to talk more about Synergy hockey skills. This text line is too funny.
Oh, boy. Well, Synergy hockey skills. Unfortunately, there are no spots available this week. But next week, we do have a couple of spots available. It's just a half-day camp, Anthony. We don't want to stress the kids out before they go back to school.
There you go.
Got the pre-tryout camp this week, putting the kids through their paces.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun. And praising the work of my coaches. They did a fantastic job this summer. It was a very heavy workload. And it's a lot of kids, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of hours. It's not always easy, but those guys kick some ass this summer. So
that's awesome.
Hats off to them.
Good job, Anthony.
Helmets off to them.
Helmets off.
Stick taps.
Stick taps.
Yeah,
yes.
Stick taps to them.
Excellent.
That's crazy, though, that you didn't mention the clear camp.
Yep.
I didn't hear anything about it.
We have shuffled that along to our minor league system.
Interesting.
Marsh, here's the thing on
if it
that.
grows, then maybe we'll bring it back.
It's not me who suffers, okay?
Yeah, it's the kids.
It's the kids. Because
I hate it for
when
them.
they have the puck in their own zone,
Yeah.
they have no idea how to clear it.
I mean, they're going to just throw pizzas up the middle of the ice. And it's because they don't have the clear it camp.
And one of the things that Jamie is so adamant on is you don't crumple up the paper and throw it into a river because it's just going to go right back upstream. And he's got no clear camp. So
it's unfortunate.
Heaven forbid you pass to the kid who's open tape to tape.
Instant replay is up next for Andrew Marsh and Jamie Rivers and Anthony Stalter.
Stomach down.